Mic check. Yeah, I can hear you. But so can everyone else. Hey, we're back. Sorry about that. Get this out of here. You don't need to see that. Sorry about that, everybody. God damn, that's bright. And that's on a loop. Jeez. We got to get a different light here. There we go. All right, I'm just going to look a little weird today. So sorry about that. How was it without that light? A little dark. Yeah, it's just going to look a little weird. Had to use an old webcam. So we're not going to be totally in HD today, and it might be a little blurry from time to time, but the camera seems to be working now. I probably just need to get a different webcam. I think that's probably what I need to do. It's good to see everybody. Happy Monday. I missed you guys on Friday. I had to make a quick trip, and I'm back, and it is good to be back in the great state of Arizona, the Grand Canyon state, the warmest state in the country. It's wonderful to be here. I hope you guys had a good weekend, too. Looks like Twitch is up. Looks like Twitter is not up. TikTok seems to be up.
I think you're muted.
I am not muted. Nobody can hear me?
I can't hear it on Twitch.
Huh. Can you guys hear me on Twitch? Anybody that's on Twitch? All right, the Twitch people it must be yours, Jen. They're saying they can hear me on Twitch. All right, Johnny said, here's money for your new camera. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate that. And I needed to get a couple other ones taken care of here, too. Jen, didn't you send me something? You text them to me, maybe. Is that what you did? Instead of... Yeah, Charles. Thank you. Charles said, miss you guys. Can't wait for Monday's show. I'm having withdrawals and didn't get to listen on Friday. Thank you, Charles, for contributing to that goal on Friday. Let me pull up the payment apps and we'll get going. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the disjointed start this morning. That's on me. Asta Sophia, our favorite Icelandic friend, says, good morning to my favorite TikToker, early starter of the dollar train. Thank you very much. Then I'll pull up cash. It looks like my Venmo is forever banned. We gotta figure something out with that. I'm not sure what we need to do with that. I forgot to do that. All right, I think we should be good to go. Let's pop this right. Did I lose my? There it is. All right, this was real. I had to double check this too. Seth Abramson tweeted this out this morning, but I also had to double check to make sure this was real because I had questions. This was from the WhiteHouse.gov. Last night, President Donald J. Trump highlighted many of the egregious examples of waste, fraud, and abuse funded by the American taxpayers, including $8 million spent by the Biden administration for making mice transgender. They're just doubling down on all this shit. And then they've added the fake news losers at CNN immediately tried to fact check it, but President Trump was right as usual. Obviously, he wasn't right. There was no $8 million for making mice transgender. That's not a real thing. It's never been a real thing. And we live in an age now where they're just out here like, hey, whatever we say is true. And if you disagree with it, then you're fake news. I guess that's not that new for this team, for the MAGA group. Thank you, TP Gaming. Appreciate it. And Owned, thank you as well. Appreciate you guys. And new subscriber, TP Gaming. Welcome. It's good to have you. And we're getting that's euros. I didn't know you showed it to me in euros. Anyways, I just want to show that Ryan Walters out here in Oklahoma. He's still doing his Ryan Walters thing. Uh, Oklahoma has kind of pushed back against Ryan Walters. He's the school superintendent who has said we have to put the Bible back in schools. He prays before every meeting, which is bizarre. But here's Ryan Walters saying, I don't really care what anybody says. I'm going to force religion into our schools. There's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. I'll take private money to make sure we have religion in school.
Last year, Oklahoma's superintendent of schools, Ryan Walters, announced that the Bible must be in all of Oklahoma's classrooms. His team purchased copies of this God Bless the USA Bible, a version marketed by President Trump. The state couldn't confirm how much they paid when we asked. After the New Year's Day terrorist attack in New Orleans,
I thought that was interesting that the state couldn't confirm what they paid. I'm gonna guess it wasn't a significant discount.
He shared this video suggesting teachers' unions bore some responsibility for homegrown terrorism.
You know, you have schools that are teaching kids to hate their country.
Then he asked state lawmakers for $3 million in.
I've never understood that one. I don't know how Republicans have gotten away with this lie that schools are teaching kids to hate their country. I've never seen any type of literature. I've never seen any sort of curriculum that says you should hate your country, unless hating your country is just admitting fault. And I think that kind of shows what MAGA is, what conservatism is. It's this idea that America is the greatest; it'll always be the greatest, and it's great because of our past, because of our religious beliefs. And so they just don't really live in reality. Like if you hate the slavery, I guess. If you hate that we're teaching about slavery, if you hate that we're teaching about civil rights, then you must hate the country because you're talking about bad things that happened in our country. And like that's how cults operate. That's exactly how my cult operates. It's how every cult operates. You don't address the things that are problematic. You focus only on the things that are not problematic, and that way nobody ever learns from their mistakes. And then the next time you make a mistake, nobody really cares because they're just used to ignoring things that are problematic.
Taxpayer funds to purchase Bibles for every school. This week, they denied that request, but Walters says he's shipping out hundreds of copies already purchased to schools. And today, he's putting out a call for donations, partnering with the person who produced the God Bless the USA Bible.
The Bible has been taken out of the classroom by left-wing extremists that want to take our history away from our kids and lie to young people about what.
Quick question. It's been a while since I've read the Bible. Maybe there's some updates. I don't remember any American history in the Bible. Does anybody? As far as I'm aware, the Bible takes place long before America existed. I might be wrong about that. Maybe they've added some new books. Like maybe you have the book of Paul Revere up there now. One if by land, two if by sea, said Jesus. I don't know. But I don't remember our nation's history being in the Bible. I might have missed it.
What happened throughout our history.
You recorded a video. You talk about left-wing radicals, and you also did a prayer for President Trump.
I pray in particular for President Donald Trump.
Is this really about left-wing activism, or is it about pushing your own political views?
Left-wing activism has been pushed in the classroom. We absolutely are going to protect teachers' right to pray. We are going to bring prayer back to school.
I asked again if he's pushing a Republican agenda.
We are not pushing an agenda. We're pushing an understanding of history. I prayed for an incoming president. I have the right to pray. Just as I prescribed in the video, it is up to you whether you want to pray or not. It is up
But
to
it
you
wasn't up to the districts to play the video or to choose to not send it to parents.
That's correct. And in the video,
But that doesn't sound like religious liberty.
Oh, absolutely it does.
Yeah, it does, because that's what I said. I just said it's religious liberty, so it must be religious liberty. I love this. Like we have the right to pray. Yeah, you also have the right to teach true history. You also have the right to talk about the history of our country. You have the right to talk about the historical injustices perpetrated by the United States federal government. And yet those things need to be taken out, and prayer needs to be put back in.
I guess you didn't watch the whole video, because in the video I
did.
say, okay, well, so what about the part where I say you don't have to pray? What about the part where I
But
say
you
you don't
do have
engage
to
with them?
show me praying.
You have to show a message from the superintendent over all the schools in the state.
And if they don't comply with these directives, what happens to them?
If they decide to break the law, if they decide to indoctrinate kids by not teaching them American history, they can be removed from the classroom. Their schools can face accreditation issues.
Again, it's not American history. None of that is American history. That's all outside. Not only is it not history, it's not American history.
Choose by not obeying the law.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Oklahoma. I hope you guys are upset in Oklahoma. Imagine. I mean, it just the outrage. If we had the audacity to have a superintendent who was Muslim, who decided to pray or decided to celebrate Muslim holidays, all of it can get the hell out of our schools. All of it. There shouldn't be prayer in schools. It's not relevant to school. If you want to pray on your own, that's fine. If you want to pray over your meal at school, that's also fine. But when you take a position of power like that and then pray and then try and pitch it as like, oh, everybody has the right to not listen to me. They have the right to ignore my prayer. That's true. That's true. They do have the right to ignore your prayer. But I I don't get it. I think it's I was around a lot of religious friends this weekend or religious acquaintances this weekend. And there's a lot of this. Like there's a lot of this talk that like somehow there's an attack on religion. I've never had anybody give me an example of an attack by our government on religion, except for if now we want to talk about speaking ill of the IDF or the state of Israel. I guess there's that. I don't understand these the fairy tale world that conservatives live in, where they're somehow victims, where this right for them to force their religion on kids at school has been stripped. I don't understand it at all. And overall, like it's a more overarching theme. Here's a tweet from or a truth from Trump this weekend. Like it's just this idea that you do what we say. There we go. I can get rid of those. This was a truth from Trump this weekend. It might have been on the 8th, about the continuing resolution that Congress has put together. The House and Senate have put together, under the circumstances, a very good funding continuing resolution. All Republicans should vote, please. Please! Exclamation. God, this dude is fucking illiterate. He does not know how to structure sentences. All Republicans should vote, please. Yes. Next week. It's hard to read. Great things are coming for America, and I'm asking you all to give us a few months to get us through to say, now we got to wait till September before we can figure out if Trump's plan is working. So we can continue to put the country's financial house in order. Democrats will do anything they can to shut down our government, and we can't let that happen. We have to remain united, no dissent. Nobody's allowed to dissent. How dare you? I think Rand Paul and Thomas Massey are going to have a problem with that. Fight for another day when the timing is right. Oh, don't fight. Don't fight today. The timing is not right. Very important. Make America great again. It's the president of the United States. He could try Grammarly. Yeah, it's tough. It's honestly tough to read the shit that he puts out there. Dropkick Murphys. Some of you saw this. It was a viral clip that went around this weekend. If you don't know Dropkick Murphys, they're the I don't know if this was just a break during their concert, but called out a MAGA person in a very kind way, actually. Dropkick Murphys are notoriously political, and they always have been, and stopped their show to talk to a MAGA person in the crowd and make a little wager.
That's what makes America so actually great, that you guys can speak your mind, and I would never suggest the crowd fucking boo you or turn on you, because it's America. It's kind of a free country still. Band is willing to wager these fine. Well, first of all, do you support American workers? Yeah. Of course you do. All right, American made, sir. Could you both turn backwards? Don't worry, no one's gonna. He just needs to check your tags on your shirt and your hat. Just need to see what they mean.
So he's got his "Make America Great" dark MAGA hat on, and let's see if I can see. I didn't get a glimpse of what was on the T-shirt. There is there a good look? I don't know what it says on there. Anyways, it's this guy right here.
Nicaragua! It's made in Nicaragua! So, he is a good sport. He's taking the your shirt off. We're taking crime off the street. God bless your fucking heart. That's a good sport. You get one proudly made in America Dropkick Murphy shirt. You gotta make America great again. You got the Elon Musk true Nazi version on. You wanna, what's all the dice? What's all the dice? Let's see where it's made. Come on, man. Yeah, drum roll, please, man.
Doesn't say.
It's got no tag, and you know what that means? It wasn't fucking made in America, I can tell you that. But we'll call it a draw, okay? And we'll give you the shirt, and hey, I appreciate you being good sports, and I will say, from the bottom of our hearts, we are the most anti-fucking MAGA band on earth, okay? But all opinions are welcome because it's still America!
I love to see it. Love to see the Dropkick Murphys. They're getting old, man. We're all getting old. We're all getting old. Looking at them, it's like it's watching my my uncle out there. That didn't make me feel great about myself this morning. Danish government got together to watch Donald Trump give his, what are we calling that speech? Have we decided what that speech was called yet? Just yell at the Democrat speech. When Trump starts talking about Greenland, which of course is owned by the Danish people, watch their reaction to Trump speaking about how welcome Greenland is and how they could be part of America.
Message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. Also,
the other. It's too bad we don't laugh a little bit more in Congress. Maybe we should have just laughed. Maybe instead of holding up signs, we should have just laughed at them the whole time. I would have liked that. Following the, I don't know what the Liberty Ball, Liberty inauguration ball is, but I kept seeing this in my reels. It finally showed up on Twitter. I don't really know what to say about this other than it is very bizarre to watch Republicans treat Donald Trump as a dictator. While they are like, we love freedom, he's totally not a dictator. He absolutely is pro-democracy. It's just weird. It's weird when you add the music. It's weird when this artist who's going to paint this picture, she paints this picture live. I assume that's what she does. I assume like that's her thing that she paints while hearing great music. But here is, what is her name? What did she say? I don't know what her name is. Sorry, lady, you're not getting credit for this. I thought your tag would be on there. It's just weird. It's just this type of, and this would be weird regardless of the politician. I imagine there was probably some weird shit with Obama. I can imagine there's some weird shit with Obama, but it's becoming now like mainstream Republicanism. It's not like this is just a super fan who's out there doing their thing. This is at the Liberty inauguration ball, shared millions of times, and it's not that different from the stuff we see every day from MAGA. And I would just love it, just absolutely love it, if you folks would come back to earth just for a minute so we could have a real conversation. I would love, I don't know where old homie went, William here. William, can you stop writing in all caps too, by the way? I appreciate that. I just wish you guys would live in reality for like 1 second. I wish we could have a real conversation for 1 second about what's going on. Instead, we got to do this shit, and you guys have to do your worship service every day. You show up with your prepared talking points, and you just shout them out into the void. Like, I mean, that's what William's doing. You must move to Cuba or Venezuela. Latinos very proud for President Trump all the way. I think we got the bots in here. Do it streaming this in vertical on YouTube. By the way, I know a lot of you didn't like that. I know a lot of you don't like the vertical streaming in YouTube. It's not vertical over on Twitch, but legitimately 10x the number of views we got. So it did work, and I'm sorry for everybody who hates it. And if you do want to see the comments a little more visibly, I just recommend hopping over to Twitch. But here's this video.
Rejoicing,
You hear the music? He is for you. He is for you. He is for, like, it's worship music. It's literally Trump worship music while they make this little highlight reel here. It's saying amen. He's for you. Amen. This is a worship service. They're literally doing worship service of Trump. Look at this lady right here. This is full on Christian non-denominational worship service shit here. Hands in the air. You're really feeling it. Only they're singing about Trump. Look, I'm just judging based on what they're wearing. This was not an inexpensive place to be. How much did it? Let's see if we can find how much it cost. What was this? It was called the, where are we at? 31 seconds. This was called the Liberty Inauguration Ball. All right, let's find out how much tickets were to the Liberty Inauguration Ball. $25,000. $25,000. They paid $25,000 to come watch a Trump worship service. Awesome. Tex and Drew tearing up. They're feeling the spirit strongly. Now, I think this photo is depicting when Trump walked down to the church and held up the Bible. I think that is what they're supposed to be depicting here, as if he didn't advocate shooting all the protesters right before, just like Jesus would. The thing I liked about Jesus is anytime he wanted to go somewhere and there were people in the way, he just tried to get the Secret Service to shoot him. It's one of my favorite parts of the Bible. Oh, that might not be true. So stupid. It's so weird. I see Trump looking at a burning cross. I saw it too, Mr. Diaz. I also see Trump looking at a burning cross. And I'm going to be honest, he doesn't look he doesn't look mad about it. He looks like he's enjoying himself. I'm used to being at cross burnings. This is very comfortable for me, watching a cross burn. Yeah, you guys are weird, man. I don't want to see those MAGAs coming in here today like talking shit. You don't have anything to say. You guys are weird. Until you stop being fucking weird, we don't have to listen to you anymore. You gotta stop being weird, please. More Perfect Union, who, if you don't subscribe to More Perfect Union on YouTube, I highly recommend it. They put out great videos, some of the best investigative journalism you can find on the internet. This is them out speaking to fired Consumer Financial Protection Bureau employees and just asking, like, what does this mean? You guys are out of a job, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. What does this mean for the American people?
If I was a really sketchy business person, what kinds of schemes should I do now that nobody at the CFPB is allowed to do their job?
I mean, it's open season.
I'm worried about what we're going to see in the financial marketplace going forward.
Elon Musk says he wants to delete the CFPB. Why do you think he wants to do that?
Because Elon Musk has companies that are involved with payment processing and financial services, and he wants to do whatever he wants to do without the oversight of the government. He wants to be able to be in a position where he can take advantage of consumers without somebody like the CFPB to stand up to him.
Who's going to benefit from the CFPB being dismantled?
The billionaires. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is the only federal agency that is focused on making sure that consumers are not being cheated by financial companies.
I just think without the CFPB, there is really nobody watching over banks and lenders.
Working people are in danger of predatory business practices by big Wall Street firms, by banks, by credit card companies, by credit reporting agencies, by lenders, and it's a danger for everyone.
What's going to happen to working people without the CFPB?
I think they've lost a really strong advocate. They have lost an institution that solely existed to try to help consumers, to make sure that their rights were protected and to get them money back when they weren't.
The public should care because we returned $21 billion to consumers, and that's money that consumers were cheated out of, and we got it back for them.
We have millions of dollars in flux right now that should be going back into the pockets of people who've been ripped off, and I don't know whether that's happening right now.
Like if you took like modern day Robin Hood, right? That's what CFPB was. It was you take from the rich who have stolen from the poor, and you take that money from the rich and you give it back to the people who stole it. I guess maybe not necessarily poor, didn't steal from the poor, but poorer than them. That's the whole point of CFPB, is to not allow banks, big corporations to just steal from the American people. And why? And I'll get to it in a second, but they just shut it down. And you have Republicans every day showing up like this is waste. This isn't waste. This is the opposite of waste. The exact opposite of waste. This is a government entity that is relatively expensive to run and brings in about 10x the amount, like gets consumers back like 10x the money that it costs them to operate. Maybe more than 10x. I didn't do the exact numbers there. That's the country we're in. We're in a country right now where there are a bunch of just everyday people like William here. William, it's so good to have you. Who are out here advocating for the billionaire class. Like, let the billionaires take over. We need the billionaires to take over. Here's who you're arguing for. You're arguing for Mark Andreessen. I've showed this clip probably 20 times now, and I'm going to show it a million more. But here was Mark Andreessen on Rogan lying right to Rogan's face about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And Rogan actually knows it. That's what's the most frustrating part about this clip. Rogan knows he's not getting an answer here. He probes Andreessen 3 or 4 times to get an answer, and Andreessen doesn't have one, and Rogan doesn't have the guts to be like, yeah, I think you're lying to me right now. In fact, he let Zuckerberg come on and tell the same lie. He let Elon come on and say the same lie, and now he doesn't even push back anymore. He knows there's no answer there. He just hopes that it's true or something more nefarious.
So, like, for example, we have this thing called the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, CFPB, which was it's sort of Elizabeth Warren's personal agency that she gets to control. And it's an independent agency that just gets...
Once again, we'll cover it every time. Elizabeth Warren, one, doesn't get to control it because she was never in charge of it. It was just her idea. That's number one. It's not her personal agency, and she doesn't control it, and...
to run and do whatever it wants, right? And if you read the Constitution, like, there is no such thing as an independent agency.
However, this has gone before the courts multiple times, and the courts have ruled that having independent agencies is constitutional. So yeah, in the original Constitution there was no carve out for CFPB, but it's been ruled constitutional by the Supreme Court, which means it is constitutional. But yeah, it's not like written in the Constitution.
And yet there it is.
What does her agency do?
Whatever she wants.
What does it do, though?
Basically, terrorize financial institutions, prevent fintech, prevent new competition, new startups that want to compete with the big banks.
Really? So he's careful there. He said with fintech, prevent fintech, new startups. Fintech is a financial tech, basically, right? So what he's saying is the CFPB goes to these fintech places like X who want to do payments, and they say, you can do payments, but you have to abide by the same laws that banks abide by. And that's the whole reason that these financial tech companies want to do it this way, is they don't want to live under the same rules as banks do. But banks are required to operate under rules that keep the consumers safe. And so when he says terrorizing financial institutions, what he means is telling startups, these billionaire startups, that if you are going to operate as a bank, you have to follow the laws like banks do.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
How so?
Just by terrorizing anybody who tries to do anything new in financial services.
Can you give me an example?
Well, I guess, debanking. This is where a lot of the debanking comes from, is these agencies. So debanking is when you as either a person or your company are literally kicked out of the banking system.
Like they did to Kanye.
Exactly, like they did to Kanye.
Yeah, who fought for Kanye, by the way? Just so we're clear, when people get debanked, Laura Loomer is actually a great example of this. Laura Loomer was debanked. She was also shut down from PayPal, from Venmo, from Zelle. I think she might have been with Chase Bank. Laura Loomer was debanked for her political views. And you know who got her banking restored? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The financial institution said, we're not going to do business with you because of your political views. And the CFPB is the organization that stepped in and forced them to bank with her, or said, like, you can't remove somebody because of their political views. It's the exact opposite of what he's saying. And this is what these billionaires love to do, is they take the plight of like the every person and they make you think they're fighting for you. And he's telling you the exact opposite truth of what happened. Now, he's going to give us an example here of somebody who was debanked, but the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau does not and cannot, like effectively cannot debank somebody. They can't go to a bank and say you have to debank this person for their political views.
Partner Ben's father has been debanked.
Really?
We had an employee who
for what?
For having the wrong politics, for saying unacceptable things. Under current banking regulations, here's a great thing. Under current banking regulations, after all the reforms of the last 20 years, there's now a category called a politically exposed person, PEP.
PEP, and I've got a little bit of pep in my attitude right now while I lie to you about what PEP is.
And if you are a PEP, you are required by financial regulators to kick them off of to kick them out of your bank.
What?
You're not allowed
but
to
what
have
if you're politically on the left?
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, all that's a lie. Every bit of that is a lie. Politically exposed persons does not necessarily mean that they have to be debanked. What a politically exposed person is somebody who has the potential to be exposed or infiltrated by other governments. Right? So if you are a person who holds influence or power or elected office here in America, you wind up on the PEP list. And basically what they're going to watch for is transactions coming from foreign countries, foreign entities, or even, I mean, we don't do it here, but other countries who are serious about corruption, they might look at like lobbying groups. But in America, you can take money from the lobbyists. It's fine. They've ruled that that's definitely a good thing for democracy. It's definitely not a bad thing for people with the most amount of money to be able to step in and pay you to get done what you want. But that's what the PEP list is. The PEP list is basically just people who could be swayed and actually can influence policy or can influence the law. So he's lying again here. And he lied. And on the left, it's fine. No, it never happens on the left. Of course, it happens on the left. It's that's Bob Mendes. I believe Bob Mendes was on the PEP list. They start looking at transactions, the suspicious activity reports. That's how these people get caught most of the time. So it's an absolute unequivocal lie that that the PEP is just like if you have political ideology, and two, that if you're on the left, nothing happens to you.
No,
because they're not politically exposed.
So no one on the left gets debanked?
I have not heard of a single instance of anybody on the left getting debanked.
Can you tell me what the person that you know did, what they said that got them debanked?
Oh, well,
yeah. Watch this. What did they say? What did they do?
I mean, David Horowitz is a right wing. He's pro-Trump. I mean, he said all kinds of things. He's been very anti-Islamic terrorism. He's been very worried about migration, all these things.
And they debanked him for that.
Yeah, they debanked him. So you get kicked out. You get kicked out of your bank account. You get kicked out of you can't do credit card transactions. But, by the way, you can't.
How is that legal?
Well, exactly. So this is the thing. And then you go into this thing of like, well, this is where the government and the companies get intertwined. Back to your fascism point, which is there's a constitutional amendment that says the government can't restrict your speech, but there's no constitutional amendment that says the government can't debank you, right? And so if they can't do the one thing, they do the other thing, and then they don't have to debank you. They just have to put pressure on the private company banks to do it, and then the private company banks do it because they're expected to. But the government gets to say we didn't do it.
But either way, like true, a little bit. Part of that is true. Part of that is true that the government can put pressure on private banks. But the part that's not true is that it's the CFPB doing it. The only reason that Andreessen and Zuckerberg and Musk are against the CFPB is they're all investigated by the CFPB, and the CFPB is telling them like, yeah, if you're gonna operate as a financial institution, you can't steal from people. And they're like, well, we want to steal from people. It's what we do. It's how it works. Here is the American Economic Liberties Project fact check on the CFPB. You can go to this. It's economicliberties.us here. But just this was, I believe, was in a direct response to Zuckerberg's appearance. But by attacking the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Silicon Valley elites are revealing that they are on the side of predatory corporations over American consumers. This is according to Nidhi Hegde, who's the interim executive director of the American Economic Liberties Project. Under Director Rohit Chopra's leadership, the CFPB has fought tirelessly to return billions to consumers, rein in exploitative junk fees, and hold repeat offenders accountable. Not only has the Supreme Court itself recognized the CFPB's constitutionality, but Americans across the political spectrum overwhelmingly support the CFPB's mission because it protects them from Wall Street scams, big tech overreach, or discriminatory practices. We need the CFPB now more than ever to ensure corporations play by the rules and stop ripping off hardworking consumers. Look at the markets today. Look at what's going on with crypto today. These folks, these big tech companies, they need ways to be able to steal from the American consumer because they're running a giant Ponzi scheme. And when you're running a giant Ponzi scheme, eventually you run out of money. And what you're going to see now, like as crypto is dipping, it's impossible for me and my limited knowledge to predict crypto markets. But I can tell you what we're seeing in crypto is that every time you see a big drop in crypto, it's precipitated by like lower level investors dumping their crypto. They get scared. And if enough people get scared about crypto, they're going to just start dumping, and then crypto will crash. And that's hundreds of billions of dollars. A lot of it held by these exact people, by the Andreessens, by the Thiels, by the Elon Musks. And that wipes out their net worth. And so they have a reason for not wanting the CFPB out there pointing out that they're scamming people. They want people to believe this is all on the up and up and that the government's standing in the way. And if you go with Elon and Andreessen, you're going to have a more transparent experience with these banks. It's convenient that almost every wealthy investor criticizing the CFPB has a financial relationship with a company that the CFPB has exposed for scamming, cheating, or stealing. Here's what the CFPB has done. They ordered penalties and restitutions in cases like Wells Fargo's widespread illegal practices, resulting in $3.7 billion in penalties and refunds for affected customers. We talked about that a little bit, but like Wells Fargo would go and they would change when the transactions came in. So if you overdrew your account, like if you made, let's say you had $200, you went to Circle K, you got a drink, you went to McDonald's, it was $7. You still had, $180, say, left in your account. You had 180 left. And then you knew you were going to overdraw it, so then you paid your electricity bill, which was $190. So it was going to overdraw your account, and you were going to pay a $35 overdraft fee. You knew it, and that sucks. And maybe you could say that person needs to budget their money more. That's not the point. The point is Wells Fargo would change the times of those transactions or when those transactions came through. So the one that wiped out the balance comes through first, and then the other ones come through after, which allows them to charge a $35 fee for each additional charge. And they found out that their practices resulted in stealing $3.7 billion from their own customers, and the CFPB got that back. That's not an insignificant amount of money, $3.7 billion. They had new rules that targeted exploitative junk fees like overdraft charges, non-sufficient fund fees, and that's the reform after this is projected to save Americans $5.5 billion annually. So even just adding new reforms, it's not even clawing that money back. They're saving Americans money. We're at what, 9.2 billion there so far. Facing Consumer Financial Protection Bureau pressure, major credit reporting agencies reduced medical debt remarks on credit reports by 70%. That immediately allows people to access new credit, perhaps purchase a home, stop paying out exorbitant fees, maybe some debt consolidation. They established a registry to monitor companies that repeatedly violate CFPB laws, making it harder for them to escape accountability. Actions have targeted major institutions, including fines on Bank of America for freezing unemployment benefits and illegal garnishments and penalties for predatory fintech practices. There's the fintech stuff we don't like. They cracked down on discrimination, pursued fair lending enforcement penalties of including a $22 million settlement with Trident Mortgage for illegal redlining in Philadelphia, fighting hidden fees, protecting military families, student borrowers, open banking, financial influence, promoting competition and innovation, and combating data misuse. Literally everything that Andreessen just told you they do the opposite. They protect you against all those things that Andreessen wanted to scare you into thinking they were doing, so that you would support the regulatory apparatus being moved out of their way so they can get more of your money. Isn't that beautiful? As a reminder, guys, we do rely on your generosity to keep our show going every day. Thank you to those so far who've donated. We do have a gift goal that's above my head and above the screen there. If you'd like me to read your comments, just send them there. The Cash App and the Venmo and PayPal are right below the screen. Hardy says, for missing this week due to cruise, here's $1 a day for the dollar train. Thank you, Marty. Have fun on your cruise. I was watching these cruise videos yesterday of just like people in like their 70s just going wild on cruises, and I was real proud of them. I think it was Britt sent me this morning. I hadn't seen it. I'm not a big reality TV fan. I am, however, a big fan of Love is Blind, and I didn't know. I'm not caught up. I've watched exactly one season, but I really liked it. Here's a clip apparently from Love is Blind with Sarah and her husband. If you haven't watched Love is Blind, basically they meet in these rooms. They can't see each other. They talk, and they basically decide who they want to be with, and then they go like move in together, and they have a relationship. And then it all boils down to they come to the altar and they decide like, yes, I'm getting married, or no, I'm not. Does seem like a waste to get a wedding dress if you're not going. But here is Sarah and her significant other at the altar. He's a right-wing bigot, anti-vaxxer, and it cost him blind love. And I think that everybody should do that. I don't think that relationships can overcome that. To be honest, I don't know how you overcome a relationship where one person believes that all people are equal and another person doesn't. I don't know how you look at what's happening in America. I don't know how you look at vaccine data. I don't know how you look at COVID data. I don't know how you look at the sudden influx in previously eradicated diseases and be like, oh, no, this makes sense. I don't know how you would do that. I don't know how you would make that relationship work. Like and it's not really like political anymore. It's reality versus not reality. It used to be like you could be with somebody who had different political ideas than you, because it's like, I think that rich people should be taxed more, and I think they shouldn't. Oh, you can overcome that, right? That's fine. You can deal with that. But there's certain things like equality that just even her parents are just like, I don't know if that's her mom or her sister. They're just like, yeah, that makes sense. How do you do that? How do you overcome that in a relationship? How do you look across the person that you're with and you say like, yeah, like I love them, but they don't think everybody's equal. So, but it's fine. We make it work. There's just certain of my friends that aren't allowed to come around. There's certain people we can't talk about. Fuck text. Get a fuck text already. That's so many fuck texts. Anyways, I appreciated that. Love is blind. We'll probably have to cut that from. I'm sure that'll be copyright stricken. So that'll be. If you're watching it now, don't expect to see it on the replay. Then this big headline. We're almost done with the headlines. We'll get to the meat of the show today, but this one just made me laugh. When you use AI and when you use like search crawlers and search functions to like try and eliminate things from the federal government, you wind up with stuff like this.
When it turned the Pentagon and the drive by the Trump administration to eliminate not just any efforts to promote diversity in the U.S. Armed Forces, but eliminate even any mention of diversity. At the end of January, the new Secretary of Defense, as you know, issued a press release with the headline, Identity Month's Dead at DOD, banning any official recognition of Black History Month or any other minority groups in the military. But that, it seems, was just the start. Last week, the Pentagon ordered the removal from its websites any mention, photographs, or videos that, quote, promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, according to the Associated Press, more than 26,000 images, photographs, have since been flagged for removal across all military branches. Unclear why this is a controversial photo, but it was flagged. It's a photo of an American hero Private First Class Harold Gonzalez, who was born into a Mexican-American family in California, he won the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions during the Battle of Okinawa in 1945. This photo showing black military personnel undergoing training at an Air Force base in Illinois during the Second World War, that was flagged for removal. Perhaps it won't be mentioned any longer in the official histories of the Defense Department, but lest we forget, the U.S. military was segregated until 1948. During World War II, black men and women served in all branches of the armed forces while they were facing racism and segregation. It wasn't until 1948 that President Harry S. Truman signed an executive order banning segregation. Here's another photo apparently flagged for removal. Air Force Staff Sergeant Christina Scales in 2009. That's when the photo was taken. She's performing a pre-flight check before departing on a mission in a C-17. Now, why this photo is worthy of purging from the Pentagon's public records is unclear. Apparently, anything related to gay service members is now also to be purged, including this photo of the B-29 aircraft that dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. Now, why would an aircraft be flagged for removal? It appears because the name of the plane is the Enola Gay. It was named after the pilot's mom, Enola Gay Tibbets. But the mere mention of the word gay has someone in the administration clutching at their pearls.
It's the dumbest administration. It's the most. It's obviously racist. They have a real problem. I mean, look, the Secretary of Defense was reported by and confirmed by multiple people as screaming to kill all Muslims, right? Like just at a party. That's a totally normal thing to do. Just at a party, you get shithoused and start screaming, kill all Muslims. They can hide it when they want to. They can try and pretend that it's about something else, but the reality is, like, you're purging black people from the military. There's all sorts of purges in the military, but specifically, black people are being purged from the military, purged from their existence on military websites. This is clearly white nationalists. It clearly is, and I don't know how. There's some Republicans here, and by the way, any Republican that's here, you're welcome to join the show at any point. You're welcome to debate any of these points. We have Discord. All you have to do is just add our moderator on Discord. We can bring you right up. It's at JenDub1. She'll come up and do announcements here in just a second. But it's obvious. I don't know what Republicans say to this anymore. I'm assuming they just ignore it. But it's obviously racist. It's obvious that these are white nationalists. It's obvious that these are Christian nationalists. It's obvious that this is Project 2025. And you're either a person who is so afraid of being wrong that you won't admit this, or you're down with the racism. You're like, this is my thing. I love racists. I love all along. This is what I was looking for. And finally, I've got a president that speaks for me. Let me read some comments that came through. Melissa said, missed a few Dollar Train moments. You know why the bicycle didn't cross the road? It was too tired. Like that. Ryan says, a hug. That's for RTP. Thank you very much. Charles said, let's see. Good to see you. The autocorrect. The autocorrect was terrible. Good to see you, my friend. There we go. Good to see you too, Charles. Thank you very much. Sally says, for the Dollar Train. Han says, will the House or Senate impeach Trump today? He has said that the sitting president needs to be impeached if the stock market goes down over 1,000 points in a given period. Well, we were looking to hit that mark in one day. Whoopsies. I saw that this weekend. I saw somebody had retweeted that old tweet from, I think it was when Biden was in office. Jamar says, make America great again in September. Perfect. Jen, are you here? I'll add those up. Jen?
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Dave, remember I have to go off mute. I have to switch mutes and stuff.
It's hard.
It is. It can be complicated. Fine. So you have all the messages read?
All the ones you sent me. I'll check the other ones real quick. Go ahead, do your thing.
Okay. Just so like Jay mentioned, we've got a gift code at the top left-hand corner of the screen. He'll update the number here shortly. This is our job. We do this Monday through Friday, so we need to hit that to keep the lights on the show going. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all the good stuff. helps us meet that goal. So if you guys could help knock out that gift goal, that would help us out a lot. If you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch, please do so. You can use your Amazon Prime sub to use Jeff Bezos' money, or you can use your own. Or you can, we also have on YouTube, we've got 4 different memberships if you want to sign up over there. He has access to the Discord. Any of our mods in the chats can send you a link to join the server. It's a lot of fun. We make different comments about Jay and post all the stories that are covered during the show so that you have access to that. And then also, if you check out our link tree, we're on other social media platforms. If you want to check out Instagram, Facebook, X, all that good stuff. So yeah, there's all of that. If you're also if you're on YouTube, you guys wouldn't mind hitting that heart in the right hand corner. That helps us out a lot as well. And
Did we lose you, Jen? I think we lost you.
no,
For
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to decide on my friend let a tattoo artist touch her boob in exchange for a free tattoo.
Okay.
It was a tit for tat.
Your friend was actually Jen. That was Jen's real story.
Yeah. I paid for my tattoos.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't. I would use the tit for tat every time.
Well, because you throw up. You're a sissy with your
I
one tattoo.
I don't throw up. I did not throw up.
75 years old.
I just got dizzy, but once I was laying down, I was fine. I'm not going to tell you stories anymore if you're going to make fun of me.
You told everyone the story.
I
It
did?
wasn't just me.
All right. Well, I'm not going to tell any of you guys stories anymore if you're just going to make fun of me.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen. This came out this weekend. There's clips of it, but I wanted to show CoffeeZilla's breakdown. I hope you guys aren't tired of seeing CoffeeZilla. Sam Bankman-Fried, who is one of the most notorious scammers, Ponzi schemers in the history of this country, is in prison right now. He's in prison because he ran a Ponzi scheme and it all finally blew up. And he scammed a lot of people out of a lot of money. But he sees, I think Sam Bankman-Fried sitting in prison's like, fuck, if I would have just waited till Trump was in office, I probably would have been good. I probably wouldn't have gotten in trouble for this. And so now he's in prison and he's thinking, man, I'd love to get back to scamming people. Who would be the right journalist to help me maybe get a pardon from Trump and get out of prison and start scamming people again? I know, Tucker Carlson. Here's CoffeeZilla's reaction to Tucker Carlson interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried from prison.
Disgusting podcasts I've ever seen. A podcast from prison, from a guy who went to jail for costing people billions of dollars. Eventually, he basically lucked out because crypto markets ramped back up. So luckily, people are getting their money back. And now he's making a case that maybe he should be pardoned. Maybe he should get off. We're talking, of course, about Sam Bankman-Fried, the person behind FTX, Alameda gambling billions of dollars. And the guy interviewing him doesn't really care about any of the details of the case. Instead, he's focused on a very strange line of questioning, which is, hey, you donated money to Democrats. Why didn't you get more corruption? Which I know is a strange thing to say. But this is the interview. It's by Tucker Carlson. Sam Bankman-Fried on life in prison with Diddy and how Democrats stole his money and betrayed him. And you will find the premise is basically that, hey, you gave them money.
This is a good look into the mind of Tucker Carlson, who is clearly a Russian asset and clearly takes money from people in order to perform a narrative. And I say perform a narrative. That's how he looks at this. So we're talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, who gave money to Democrats, also gave money to Republicans. You can go back and look in the writings of Sam Bankman-Fried. It was part of their business strategy. And he even said something like, it was amazing how much shit I could get done with a minuscule amount of money. Like those people in Congress, they're willing to do goddamn near anything for money. And so now Tucker's trying to spin this narrative like you paid them and they didn't even do the stuff that you bribed them for. God, these Democrats are awful. They're not even living up to their bribe promises anymore.
Why didn't they?
Let's see. The reason people get dizzy during a tattoo is because they forget to breathe. It's actually very common. I don't know if that's true or not. I was trying. Swish said, free legless parrot, no purchase necessary.
They do the corruption? which is just like bizarre, because aren't we all on the same page that political corruption should not exist, right? Like how can you steal someone's donation unless...
Yeah, Josh, any Republican is welcome to come up and challenge any of my points. You just add at JenDub1, JENNDUBB1 at Discord, send her a message, and she can bring you up here. So if there's any Republicans here that want to challenge anything I'm saying, you're welcome. We'd be happy to have you.
Unless you're implying that quid pro quo should exist. The implicit assumption here is, oh, they should have basically let you off, even if you stole billions of dollars, because you gave them money, which is insane. I mean, it's just like, what are we doing here, fellas? What are we doing? Anyway, I'll just show you the clip and we'll talk about it.
Big picture, without getting into like all the details of your case, but it does seem like you guys made a decision at your company to form political alliances through political donations, which is not singling you out. You're hardly the only businessman who's done that. It's actually kind of par now.
It's bad though, right? We are going to say that that's bad.
We're not going to say it's bad. See how Tucker does this? This is why Tucker's he's so good at what he does. Like, he's one of the greatest propagandists of all time. But he says, like, now you paid off a bunch of people, but everybody does it now. That's just par for it's what we do now. See how he's softening this so that he can attack Democrats? It's not what we do. It's not what we do now. You're not allowed to do this. It's still against the law. But if you're a Republican right now and you're looking at the amount of money that's been spent and given to Donald Trump openly, and now he's doing their bidding, and when you have clips of Donald Trump saying like, hey, if you give me $1 billion, I will cut your taxes. Right now, he's taking right now, Donald Trump is selling for $5 million. You can meet with him for and that money goes to him. He's literally selling meetings right now in the open. I'm pretty sure it's 5 million is the number.
Trying to win political favors with money, right?
But you gave so much to Democrats that I kind of thought they would rescue you in the end. Where were all your friends in the Democratic Party? They usually keep their friends from going to jail. Tony Podesta never went to jail. Why did you?
Is Tony Podesta and John Podesta the same person? Who the fuck is Tony Podesta? It's John Podesta's brother? What did he do? He's a lobbyist. What did he do? I don't know what he did. If anybody knows.
It's a really good question. Obviously, I can only guess at the answer to that. I can only speculate because I'm not in their minds.
The answer is it was billions of dollars of fraud.
That's it.
What are you talking about? Why weren't you rescued from, your billions of dollars of fraud because you gave some money to different... Isn't that what we all want? What is this? And then, by the way, my favorite part about this is the rationalization.
I'm going to skip through some of that.
Why didn't you get a get out of jail free card with the FBI?
But, one fact that might be relevant is, in 2020, I was center left, and I gave to Biden's campaign.
This guy believes in nothing, by the way.
I was optimistic he'd be a sort of solid center left president. I spent the next few years in D.C. a lot. Made dozens of trips there, and was really, really shocked by what I saw. Not in a good direction from the administration. By late 2022,
man in prison for scamming millions of people out of billions of dollars was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was seeing in Washington.
I was giving to Republicans privately as much as Democrats, and
there it is.
That started becoming known right around FTX's collapse. So that probably played a role.
So, okay, just so we're clear, his explanation is the reason I didn't get any quid pro quo is because I also gave to the other team trying to win their quid pro quo because he was trying to hedge his bets. Remember, this is the same guy
who is interviewing from prison? Which side of the aisle is interviewing him from prison and trying to whitewash his crimes? The other side that he tried to do a quid pro quo with. That was pretty honest there by Sam Bankman-Fried. The quid pro quo came from the Republicans. They're doing it right now in this video.
Don't give people a get out of jail free card. You have stolen their money and betrayed them. Do you guys understand how insane this is? The literal chapter title is Democrats Refuse to Rescue SBF Despite His Large Donations. What are we doing here, fellas? And look, I've got to, look, I don't want to do this whole, by the way, I despise this.
I'm going to skip through this. This is just CoffeeZilla talk about he hates politics. Here we go here.
Same guy got indicted. Donated a ton of money to World Liberty Financial, which is the Trump financial project. In fact, he donated so much money that the guy who leads it, the founder, claims that World Liberty Financial's success came partly because of Justin's son. He says the project's fortunes changed, however, when Justin's son stepped in. This guy, Folkman said, with a gesture towards son, saw that regardless of the outcome, this project is a monumental move for the entire crypto community. Justin's son put 10 figures into it, over $10 million. I've seen reports that it was $75 million into this Trump-backed coin, which you could not trade. So it's like, why would you put money into a coin you couldn't sell? And you're being indicted by the...
By the way, you can't sell it, but you buying the coin, Trump makes fees off that. And I think it was somewhere between 3 and 5%. So off that, if it's 75 million, what's that, like 3.75 million, 3.7-ish million? Yeah, that's 3.75 million, I think exactly, if that was the number. That's what Trump made off it. It's a bribe. You buy these coins, he takes a fee. He also gets 80% of those coins. It's like he owns 80% of all the coins, so it also raises the value of his coin. That's why you do it.
SEC, or you're being charged by the SEC, and just coincidentally, you put in $75 million into the political leader's coin, right? All of a sudden, what happens? SEC halts fraud prosecution of the crypto bros purchases enriched Trump. Quote, on Wednesday, the Securities Exchange Commission and Sun sent a joint letter to a federal judge asking for a stay of Sun's case. Now, did this all come because of the donations or the buying of the World Liberty Financial token? It's hard to know.
Yes. Yes. Maybe, but maybe there were like some other donations there too. But do we see the pay to play that's happening here? You have an open SEC investigation. They give Trump $75 million, or they purchase $75 million in Trump tokens. Trump gets at least 3.75 million off of that. Plus, it increases his net worth, and all of a sudden, the SEC investigation is gone. Do we see how this? Like, that's as transparent as it comes. That's as simple as this is. When the coin was launched, CoffeeZilla made a video about it. Everybody talked about it. Everybody that knows a goddamn thing about crypto knew that when Trump launched a crypto coin, that crypto coin would be used to launder money into Trump's pockets. And that if you wanted to gain favor with Trump, all you needed to do was take money and invest in that token, because that meant money for Trump. That meant money in Trump's pockets.
I'm sure it didn't hurt, right? It's a similar type of tacit donation that Bankman-Fried made. So it's impossible not to look at this interview and compare the two outcomes. And you go like, well, are we just like selling get out of jail free cards to people?
Yes.
Right? Again, not...
Yes. 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 Remember when Rudy Giuliani still had like some sway in the Republican Party, and Trump's term was coming to an end, and he was going around offering pardons, and I think it was 10 million is what he was asking for. Everything is for sale with Donald Trump. Everything. There's nothing you can't buy with enough money for Donald Trump.
Saying that Sun directly did that, but indirectly, if you literally are credited with like the turnaround of someone's entire crypto endeavor, and then all of a sudden you get let off being prosecuted, we have to look at that skeptically. Like, come on, let's put two and two together a little bit. But it's insane to have a podcast where instead of like seeing that as the problem, like Justin Sun getting off after making one of Trump's projects very wealthy, instead of seeing that as the problem and maybe something that politically is corrupt, we go, well, why didn't you benefit from the same thing, Sam Bankman-Fried? Why did you get your money stolen? And why were you betrayed? I mean, what a backwards clown world to live in, where we're having prisoners pontificate about...
Can somebody Jesus, look at that. The bots are here. They're trying their best. Mods, can you get rid of mimetic warfare, please? Thank you. They're trying. The Russian bots they're not even very good at this. Like, your Russian bots are bad. Like, you can't even get the chat triggered. You're getting worse at this.
Why weren't you just like, you paid? Why didn't you get what you paid for? It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely insane. We are in so much of the like bizarro world where we're almost like trying to make everyone feel bad for the criminals who basically didn't benefit from political corruption. You did all the right things, Sam. Can you please explain why you didn't also get out of jail? I mean, basically what we're realizing is Sam was too early. I mean, Sam was too early.
That's really the point here. And can somebody explain why Tucker Carlson would want that to go down? Why is Tucker Carlson out here interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried and talking about the Democrats? Why? Because it's so obvious that the corruption is out there. It's so obvious that Trump is getting paid off right and left that it doesn't really matter anymore. Sam Bankman-Fried is going to become the good guy. Like, you're going to see Republicans now talking about Sam Bankman-Fried and how there was Elizabeth Warren's CFPB that took him down, and it was those Democrats. They took his money and then they didn't even keep him out of jail. Good. It's going to be spun as like a right-wing problem now, or I mean, like a right-wing talking point now. That look at these Democrats. They don't even follow through on the bribes that they take. Okay, let's just say that Sam Bankman-Fried bribed them to keep him out of jail, and he didn't go to jail. That's a win. That's still a win. I don't like it. I don't like the bribe, but that's a win. Where they're learning, if you bribe Republicans, you get out of jail. You can storm the goddamn Capitol. You do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Just make sure some money flows back to old Donnie Boy, and you'll be out of jail in no time.
And if he had just been a little bit later, and he had lined the right pockets, would he have...
Mods, feel free to ban people with impunity. The bots are here. They're trying to get it taken down. This is what they do. Ban with impunity. You don't need to don't even second guess your own thoughts.
Gone to jail? It's impossible to say. In fact, what's sick about this... Dude, I don't know if y'all see that I'm going crazy here. I'm going a little bit crazy. What's sick about it is that Sam Bankman-Fried is now parlaying for a pardon, right? And we're all clear about that. He's basically trying to say that his prosecution was political. The irony is, what we've just established is that in some ways it's the most not political prosecution because he donated the most to the guys who were in office at the time. So actually it's not political that you went to jail, I guess. But now he's trying to say, like, oh, what happened to me is maybe similar to what happened to Trump. Maybe I was politically prosecuted.
Biased judges in terms of prosecutorial abuse, and in terms of sort of the politicization of the DOJ over the last decades, and I would say speeding up recently.
And do you think your trial is part of that story?
I think that's a piece of the picture.
How could it possibly be a piece of the picture? And now... he's sort of going the whole, like, he's aligning himself with the guys in power for the same reasons he did it the last cycle.
Now, let me just show you. We'll stop it there because that's where I wanted to jump. We'll show you here. This is from Sam Bankman-Fried. This is a Google Doc with his ideas on how to get out of these charges. You'll see here, file the doc with problems about the Chapter 11 process, newer draft here. Here's the important parts. Number 2, go with the lawyers were in a shitty situation, and I feel really bad about that. And like most people do, they reacted poorly to difficult circumstances. Narrative. Go on Tucker Carlson. Come out as a Republican. First of all, we spelled Tucker Carlson incorrectly. While public contributions show one thing, you see another thing, including super PACs. Come out against the woke agenda. Talk about how the cartel of lawyers is destroying value and throwing entrepreneurs under the bus in order to cover up the incompetence of lawyers. Leak out this document to the press. I don't know what this document was. This is all part of the plan. He knows how dumb they are. He knows how dumb MAGA is. He knows that they'll fall for this, that all you have to do if you are a criminal is come out and say, I'm anti-woke agenda, and then MAGA will just move on. MAGA's like, oh, yeah. They're anti-woke. It worked with, what's that comedian's name? Son of a bitch. What's the long-haired guy's name? He was in Get Him to the Greek. Why am I blanking on that guy's name right now? I'm got the MAGA bots in my head. What is his name? By the way, Charles said, I worked in my mother's tattoo shop. The reason people pass out is because their blood sugar drops too low. Maybe holding your breath doesn't help. I don't know, but I laid down. Russell Brand, thank you. I laid down, and that fixed everything. It's so transparent what they're doing, and I think like MAGA just doesn't care anymore. This is hopeful to me. This is like Branch Davidians with the FBI outside. This is Jim Jones finding out that a senator's on the way. They see what's ahead of them. They see what's coming. They recognize that this isn't going well. And so close your eyes. Anybody who just says anti-woke, you're just with them. You're like, we'll align with anybody. It's about anti-woke. I don't like everything that they do, but they're anti-woke just like me, and therefore they're the good guys. Sam Bankman-Fried sees the obvious. If any of you ever get in trouble, I hope you don't do this, but if you ever get in trouble with the law, it's not a bad defense to be like, oh no, it's because I said bad things about Trump, but now I see that he's great. You'll probably get a pardon. I think it's important to remember this isn't new. This has been going around. I've tried to find like decent threads on this. I think this is probably the best one I have. This is from Roman Sharamata. Here's Trump digging through some finger foods here in Russia. There's been a lot of people saying Trump is a Russian asset, and that's been going on forever. And he is. He is a Russian asset, but that's in the news cycle now. In 1987, Trump, who was 41 years old, flew to Moscow at the invitation of Yuri Dubinin, who was the Soviet ambassador to the U.S. Upon returning from Moscow, the bankrupt Trump suddenly receives loans from 16 banks and without negotiation. What does this mean? There's several theories, one of which suggests that Trump is a Russian asset. Currently, 3 former KGB agents claim that Trump was recruited by Russia. They allege that the KGB used flattery and business opportunities to appeal to Trump's ambitions, aiming to recruit him as an asset. Upon his return to the U.S., the then apolitical Trump began loudly criticizing NATO, taking out full-page ads in the Washington Post on September 2nd, 1987. Here's the ad. Again, totally non-political up until this point. And then Trump writes an op-ed in what'd they say? It was the Washington Post. Here's what it says. To the American people, for decades, Japan and other nations have been taking advantage of the United States. Does that sound familiar to you? Everybody's taking advantage of us. And this just coincides with coming back from Russia. Yes, Russia, 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 Joe. You can say Russia, Russia, Russia all you want. The reason it's Russia, Russia, Russia is because he keeps doing shit with Russia, Russia, Russia. And if you are somebody who is convinced that Russia isn't involved because he says Russia, 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 good on you. Jesus Christ, these bots are wild today. The saga continues unabated if he didn't write that, he doesn't know what unabated means. There's no way he wrote that. As we defend the Persian Gulf, an area of only marginal significance to the United States for its oil supply, but one upon which Japan and others are almost totally dependent. Why are these nations not paying the United States for the human lives and billions of dollars we are losing to protect their interests? Saudi Arabia, a country whose very existence is in the I lost it when I clicked up. Where is it? Saudi Arabia, a country whose very existence is in the hands of the United States, last week refused to allow us to use their minesweepers, which are sadly far more advanced than ours, to police the Gulf. The world is laughing at America's politicians as we protect ships we don't own, carrying oil we don't need, destined for allies who won't help. Like it's all exactly the same as he's doing now. Now, if he was apolitical before he went to Russia, he goes to Russia, he comes back, and he writes this. And this is nobody's heard Donald Trump talk like this. I think it's safe to say it's pretty credible that this was somebody who was a Russian asset from the 80s. And like again, 3 former KGB agents are on record of saying that he is an asset. I thought that was interesting. I think we should talk more about that going forward. Here's the Trump File thread. If you don't know Trump File, they're another great account. Actually, I'll just post this in there. I'll post this in the Discord so you guys can follow through. It's basically the same stuff, but there's a whole trumpfile.org has a whole thread on this on Twitter as well as their website. But I want to take a minute and play back. This is from 2022. This is from when Mitt Romney was still a senator. He's speaking to I'm trying to remember her name. Is it in here? She was the Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs in Europe. I think it'll say her name here. Sorry, I should have written that down. 2 years ago, we were talking about this. And frankly, 12 years ago, we were talking about this when Romney was running for president and he warned about Russia and everybody laughed at him. One of the things he's been right about over and over is Russia.
You spent a lot of your career looking at Mr. Putin and trying to understand his reasoning, perhaps not his psychology, but there are a number of people that said he's not going to invade Ukraine. He realizes that's a terrible decision, would not be in his best interest, but nonetheless he did. There are others that are writing, it's because we sort of opened the door to him or to Ukraine joining NATO that precipitated this. What's your view? As you look at Putin, why did he decide to go in? What precipitated this? I don't just mean this immediate action, but I mean, why did he make such an extraordinary investment of his country with such enormous repercussions? What drove this? And I say that not because I'm just curious for the past, but to try and get a sense of where we might be headed.
Senator, I think obviously those questions should best be directed to Mr. Putin, but I will give you a few thoughts here anyway. I think over the years, President Putin's imperial ambition has grown, and he is dissatisfied with the last 30 years of Russian history and has longed for some time to be the guy that helps recreate the Soviet Union, the fall of which he said was one of the greatest tragedies of the 20th century. Imagine that, the 20th century. So I think he's had that ambition. I think in the last couple of years he's been particularly obsessed with this and particularly consumed. He has created, as you know, a whole bed of lies about how the U.S. would use Ukraine as a springboard to Russia, or that NATO would. And he has frankly made clear in the last couple of days that he doesn't actually think that Ukraine is an independent country from Russia. So I think his interior mind is now out there for everybody to see. So that's what makes me worried, that not only do we have to ensure that this Ukraine gambit is a strategic failure for Putin for Ukraine's sake, but also for all of the other countries in the region, and his appetite has only grown with the eating. So, we can't allow this to stand.
I just you look back at the history of Vladimir Putin, you look at the words that he said, the ideology that he has, the idea that the USSR should never have been broken apart and that you need to regain the USSR and restore it to its former glory. The fact that you can go back anytime, virtually in the last 20 years, and find evidence that this is what Vladimir Putin was planning is evidence that that's exactly what he's doing. And somehow we can't convince Republicans to just look at the evidence. Just look at it. For 20 years, he's been saying this, but he's not doing it. For 20 years, he's been talking about cultivating, 30 years probably. Let's see, 87. Yeah, 30 plus years. He's been talking about cultivating assets in America, prominent media figures, prominent politicians, prominent business leaders, and getting them to curry favor with Putin and to be sympathetic to Putin. You see, our entire life is under attack right now by Russian bots. If you're not on YouTube, congratulations, you're not seeing this shit, but literally, about every 3 minutes, somebody's writing the N-word. Somebody's reposting something about disabling our chat. Somebody's talking about the abuse of children. Russia doesn't want anybody to hear this, and Republicans don't ever hear it. Because on the Republican side, anytime you bring it up, they're just going to say, Russia. Oh, not Russia again. They've been conditioned that when you say Russia, they don't listen anymore. And ironically, the reason that they have been conditioned is because of the Russian investigation into Trump, which showed unequivocally that his team, his campaign was working openly with Russia. on a campaign or a debate stage, he said, Russia, if you're listening, go get those emails. He openly works with Russia, but he has taken the dumbest electorate in the history of our country and said, hey, don't believe your eyes, don't believe your ears, don't believe the evidence. Just know that if somebody says something about me that looks bad, it's a lie. So just say Russia, 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 and then you don't have to address any of these points ever going forward. And the Republicans are like, yeah, that works for us. That works great for us. We've already been pretending that like racism and homophobia and bigotry doesn't exist on our side. We've already been ignoring all the shit that we do. What's one more thing? And you gave us a cute catchphrase. We get to say Russia, Russia, Russia. Great. This is easy. Yes, sir. Following orders, sir. We're just going to say Russia, Russia, Russia all the time now. If you look back, you look at Marco Rubio from 2016. Compare what Marco Rubio's saying from 2016. Now, have any of the facts changed when it comes to Trump and Russia? Yes, but only in that there is now more evidence than ever that Trump is a Russian asset. Here's Rubio in 2016 with less knowledge than he has now, and look how convicted he was in 2016.
Compared Donald Trump to a third world dictator yesterday in an interview with the New York Times. How so?
Well, I don't know about a dictator. I said a third world strongman. You know, he's running for president, so no matter what, he won't be a dictator unless our republic completely crumbles, which I don't anticipate it will. But yeah, here's what happens in many countries around the world. You have a leader that emerges and basically says, don't put your faith in yourselves, don't put your faith in society, put your faith in me. I'm a strong leader, and I'm going to make things better all by myself. This is very typical. You see it in the third world. You see it a lot in Latin America for decades. It's basically the argument he's making that he single-handedly is going to turn the country around. We've never been that kind of country. We have a president. The president is an American citizen who serves for a period of time, constrained by the constitutions and the powers vested in that office. The president works for the people, not the people for the president. And if you listen to the way he describes himself and what he's going to do, he's going to single-handedly do this and do that without regard for whether it's legal or not. Look, I think people are going to have to make up their mind. I can tell you this, no matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other.
Yeah, that's ominous. Somebody needs to show that to Rubio, because Rubio's going to have to come up with an explanation. When Trump is gone, when his life is over, you're no longer going to have that one person to look to who gives you all the answers. This group of people supporting Trump is all going to have to figure it out on their own. And they're not that tough. They're not willing to sit there and just lie directly to the American people when the evidence doesn't back them up. Right now they can do it because they're backed up by Trump. But when he's gone, they're not going to be backed up by anybody. MAGA's not going to support Marco Rubio. They already don't like Marco Rubio. They already don't give a shit about this guy. You think when Trump's gone, the people who were like loyal to Trump are going to stick with Marco Rubio? Are you out of your fucking minds? And what's Marco Rubio going to do then? This is the quandary that we find ourselves in now. Once this is all over, once Trump's gone, once there's nobody that's directing the lies down, how do you take these 8 years or 12 years, I guess now, at the end of these 4 years? How do you take that, condense it, and be like, oh, we told all these lies because what? Why'd you guys lie? Why are you guys lying all the fucking time? And how did you go from this guy and then you got more evidence, and now you're like, oh, I just will do what Trump says. Trump's just a great negotiator. That's what this is about. He's just a terrific negotiator. Because Marco Rubio he's never like publicly agreed with Trump that Putin's all right and Zelensky's the bad guy. His defense is always like, oh, Trump knows what he's doing. He's a negotiator. He won't even agree with the Republicans on this. And eventually he's going to be removed, or if he makes it all the way through, eventually there's going to come a time when Marco Rubio is going to want to have another position, and we're going to say, hold on, we've got some questions about you. We've got some questions about this flip-flop here when you got more evidence than you flipped the other side. This is very confusing. I don't know. I don't know if it's leverage. I don't know if it's just proximity to power. I have no idea what would make Marco Rubio want to go be Secretary of State and lie for Donald Trump. I have no idea. It'll be interesting to see what he says. Amber says Trump's first wife's dad was KGB. Is that true? I don't know if that's. I'm going to trust you on that, but I have no idea if that's true. I've never heard that before, so I'm not sure. I don't know if Jen has anything on that. All right, let's go to the lapdogs. Obviously, this tariff war is stupid. It's not making a great deal of sense. Over the weekend, I talked with a really good friend of mine who is Republican but not MAGA. Voted for Trump, but for kind of different reasons. And I asked, I was like, can you explain to me like what the motivating factor was for you to vote for Trump? And he literally said, he's like, look, I think Trump's wrong about all of this. I think Trump's wrong about tariffs. They won't work. I think Trump's wrong about Russia and Ukraine. I think Trump's wrong about what he's planning on doing with Gaza. But he said, I think our system is fucked. And I don't think that there's anybody that's going to fix our system. So I'm kind of rooting for him to just fuck it up. That's why I'm not loud about his lies. Like, I need it to be so fucked up beyond repair that we fix it. I don't agree with that, but it was interesting. It was interesting to hear that. Everything we talk about every single day here, he agrees with. He agrees that Trump is trying to turn our military into white nationalists. But his version is like he thinks Trump will do such an insane job that like Americans will, when they're done with Trump, will be like, all right, fuck, we gotta do something different. We gotta go back to reality. Let's rebuild. We'll make it a little better. It's not the worst defense for voting for Trump I've ever heard. Might be one of the best. But Howard Lutnick, who works for Trump and is Trump's lapdog, we're calling him lapdog Lutnick now, doesn't have answers for anything. And the Trump surrogates who go out into these media cycles and do Meet the Press and CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and Maria Bartiromo, they're asked questions about the tariffs. They're asked economic questions, and they don't have any answers. They don't have answers because the only answer is, yeah, it's fucking things up. It's definitely fucking things up. So watch Howard Lutnick try and spin this on NBC.
Can you be specific? When exactly can Americans expect to see those prices come way down?
Egg prices up 200% under Biden. Biden just...
When will the prices come down? Checks notes. Egg prices up 200% against under Biden. All right, good start. Good start not answering the question.
Killing chickens, trying to worry about things. It's crazy the way eggs have gone up 200%. Donald Trump's going to bring the price of eggs down now. Donald Trump's...
When? Just when and how? Actually, not even when. Like, Republicans are correct when they say that the prices now aren't necessarily Trump's fault. A lot of the pricing has nothing to do with Donald Trump. He's it's new in his term, but he was taking credit for the stock market and the price of eggs going down before he was president. And now that he's president, everything's Biden's fault again. I just want an answer. I would love for any of them to say, here's our plan to get grocery prices down. And the plan so far seems to be tariffs. And that doesn't make any sense. We'll see this clip after clip. The tariffs don't make any sense when it comes to bringing prices down.
Tariffs are, here's the idea. All these other countries, like India, for instance, when Modi was in town, right? 1.4 billion people, and they won't buy a bushel of our corn. Europe, always blocking our farmers. As our farmers can sell more and more overseas, you're going to see the price of food in America come down. It's a volume thing. Well, I think
that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any fucking sense. How would being able to sell our product overseas bring prices down? By the way, we just pulled off, like we just stopped buying farmers' goods for USAID. We just stopped doing that. I don't understand, one, how you're going to get other countries to buy more of your products. We talked about Canada. Canada tariffs only turn on once you've hit a certain quota. 99% of the agricultural goods that go to Canada are tariff-free, duty-free. You only get these massive tariffs after you hit a quota, and that's to protect their farmers. What Lutnick and Republicans don't seem to understand is other countries don't want to be flooded with our shit. They have economies too. They have farmers too. They need to take care of their farmers too. So just allowing American agriculture to come into their country decimates their farmers. They do the same thing we do. So I don't understand what he's saying here. I don't understand how this brings, even if you were able to get more of our goods in the Europeans' hands, I still don't know how that brings prices down.
The deal starts April 2nd. The deal starts April 2nd of reciprocal.
It's the third time we've pushed that date back, by the way. That would be the third time. And guess what? April 1st, they're going to announce tariffs. April 2nd, the tariffs are gonna hit, and then they'll back off of it, and then the stock market will dip, and then they're gonna keep trying to do this until Americans figure it out. I don't know how. I think maybe one more time before Americans all figure that out.
Tariffs. The president is going to negotiate country by country. He's going to drive down other countries' barriers, unleashing our farmers, our ranchers, and our fishermen. They're going to explode in value, and the prices of American produce, row crops, produce, and fish are going to come down because our American industries are going to.
Okay, but there's a problem with that. Farmers, ranchers, they're already dealing with a problem. They're already having to be subsidized by the United States government because the cost of fertilizer, the cost of water, the cost of labor, the cost of equipment, the cost of transportation, all of those costs have gone up. And so already they're working with paper thin margins. The farmers don't want the prices to come down unless you're going to do something about the other costs associated with what they do. If you are saying you're going to drive prices down, and here's the real truth. The only way to get those prices to come down under this administration, under the policies of this administration, the only way to accomplish this is to bankrupt farmers or force farmers to sell to massive corporations who can work with smaller margins. And maybe they could bring prices down. But if we know anything about corporations, when they do that, when they take over and monopolize a market, prices stay low until they've removed the competition, and then they just shoot up. Then they adjust their margins again. So these corporations will be fine, like adjusting, and Trump will give them a tax cut, and so they'll be able to offset the money that they're losing based on an offset in a tax cut. So they might be able to break even. And once they've removed all the competition, then they raise the prices up. It's the Walmart model. Donald Trump is Walmart. Howard Lutnick is Walmart. The MAGA has become Walmart. It's a massive corporation trying to swallow up everything else, so eventually they can raise the prices and keep all the profits for themselves. Pink says, W mods for all your work. Yeah, mods are putting in overtime today. Mods are in for it today.
Win around the world because finally, Donald Trump is behind them, protecting them. He's got their back, and he's going to make them winners. And that all of America is going to be winners because these prices are coming down, and the process starts April 2nd.
All right.
Nothing. They had no plan. There's no plan for April 2nd. That wouldn't bring prices down. They don't have answers. And I think I don't think there's a Republican in here who just watched that and could explain to me what that meant. How that was going to bring prices down. There's no chance they got anything out of that because he didn't say anything. He just Trump is great and he'll bring down prices. Did I read all these? I didn't think I read all those. Perfect. Thanks, Jen. All right. Let me check some comments here. Why did the national edging competition get canceled? Nobody came. It's tough. Also, that's kind of the point, right? I don't know. Is that the point? That was a great joke. Well done, Brianna. Well done there. Here's Rick Scott. Rick Scott takes a different approach, but basically the same. Blame Biden, and then don't give any answers of how we're going to fix this.
President Trump has acknowledged that there's going to be a little disturbance due to his economic policies. How bad is this disturbance going to be, and how long is it going to last?
Well, first off, Donald Trump walked in with a crappy economy. The number of full-time jobs have been dropping almost the entire Biden administration. This is a lot of work. The manufacturing jobs are coming back. That had not been happening under Biden. That's a big deal. The number one thing is we got to get American manufacturing back into this country. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to get this done. Now, is it work to balance the budget? Yeah, it's work. All right. We're going to stop wasting money. So people are going to go build. We're going to go start building the private sector again and stop growing the public sector.
Right,
That's going to cause some people have to change jobs.
Your constituents that are living paycheck to paycheck. How long is this disturbance going to last?
Well, the disturbance is the 20% inflation under Biden, the fact there's no full-time jobs.
Yeah, how long is it going to last? It's Biden's fault. It's Biden. It's Biden's fault. Old Medicare fraud Rick here. They don't have answers, guys. It's important to remember that. They can blame Biden all they want, and Republicans love to hear that. But where's the answer? Two for two. No answers yet.
So it's already changing. We're already adding full-time jobs. We've already added 10,000 manufacturing jobs just last month. I'm very optimistic it's going to happen very quickly.
Okay. I mean, inflation was high, but it was not 20%. Senator Rick Scott, quickly, if you could, sir. President Trump is acknowledged.
No answer there. Let's see if Scott Bessent has a Treasury Secretary. Maybe Scott Bessent has an answer for us. Here you go, Scott. The other two didn't give us an answer. What do you have, Scott Bessent? Tell us how this is going to be fixed.
On working Americans, what is the American dream? But the Biden administration created this
Biden administration again. Got it.
bad equilibrium where the top 10%, people in this room, probably most of the people watching this show, top 10% of Americans are 40 or 50% of consumption. And that is an unstable equilibrium. The bottom 50% of working Americans have gotten killed. We are trying to address that. We're trying to get rates down. And could we be seeing that this economy that we inherited starting to roll a bit? Sure. And look, there's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period. There's going to be a detox period.
I think that but the government spending they're talking about is jobs, right? So he's like, as we move away from government spending to private spending, are you replacing all those government jobs that you're trying to lay off? Are you guys are those people being hired in the private sector? Are you privatizing those departments? Because I've seen I don't see any private CFPB. I don't see any private USAID. I don't see any private VA. What's going on with those jobs? When you're talking about spending, you're also talking about income. This like Bessent's smart enough to know this. The other two, Rick Scott, maybe not. Bessent's smart enough to know this. He's lying through his teeth. And he's lying through his teeth because that's what they demand out of him. Just go on these shows and lie. But again, what's the solution? What are you doing? What's the plan here? You keep saying that like we're going to transit to what? What are we transitioning to? How are we transitioning from public spending to private spending? There's no answer. I'm telling I really like for everything we want to say about Project 2025, they're butchering it. For if they thought it was going to work, if it was going to work, it sure as shit isn't working. It's not working. They can't explain any of it.
That temporary pain that you've acknowledged, that the president has acknowledged, I think the question becomes, is temporary pain the new transitory inflation? How do you know that we get to the other side of this, and how long do you think it actually takes?
Well, look, there's an adjustment. We'll see whether there's pain. What we are trying to do, I talked about it at the Economic Club of New York yesterday. We are trying to transition from public to private.
How? How are you gonna do it? Nobody can tell us. I don't know what that means. What does it mean to transition from public to private spending? Unless we're talking like private governments, private states, what are we talking about here? Don't worry. We have the National Economic Council, the director of the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett. Scott Bessent couldn't do it. He couldn't tell us. Rick Scott couldn't tell us. Nobody can tell us, but here we go. Now we finally got somebody here with some credentials. We've got, what did I say his name was? Kevin Hassett from the National Economic Council. He's going to tell us, and he's definitely not going to lie about what tariffs are. He's just going to give us the plan.
We're saying to John about how we're getting revenue from the tariffs. Can you help Americans better understand how that works, that we're getting revenue from tariffs? Because the way it's often explained to us is, well, the consumers ultimately pay that. It's the companies that are taking in these goods that have to pay that money. So it's not going to Treasury. How are Americans seeing revenue from tariffs?
Sure. Let's think through the economics of it. So let's look at China. What happens is if you put a tax on something and it's inelastically supplied, then the person who supplies it is the one who pays the tax. And so if you have an apple tree and it's got 100 apples and you got to go to market and you got to sell your 100 apples, then you're going to sell the 100 apples no matter what. You're not going to adjust anything. And so the most inelastic thing in the global economy is Chinese supply. So if you put a tariff on Chinese supply, then the Chinese are going to bear it. The only way they wouldn't.
Nope. Just like if you had 100 apples, he's like, you sell your 100 apples no matter what. No, not no matter what. Let's say that the farmer's market that you went to has a big dumb bitch tax. And because you're a big dumb bitch and you're selling your apples, they're like, there's 100% tariff on that. And next to you, you've got somebody who's also selling apples, but they're not listed as a big dumb bitch. And so their apples cost the same as yours with no tariff. Who would pay the tariff? That would be the consumer. So the consumer says, I don't want to pay the extra tariff on this. I'm going to buy apples from this guy. So now we got Kevin Hassett just lying about what tariffs are.
Bear it is that they moved capital out of the country, but they can't move capital out of the country. They have capital controls. So the most inelastic thing in the world is Chinese supply. If we put a tariff on China, the Chinese pay it, not U.S. consumers.
Nope. Explain to me, Kevin Hassett, if you put a tariff on Chinese goods and you're saying the Chinese pay it, let's just talk logistically how this works. The Chinese are sending over a fidget spinners, a whole bunch of fidget spinners. They get to the United States. The person who purchased them from China goes to pick them up at the port. The port says you have a tariff. You got to pay your 25% tariff on this so that you can pick it up. How did China pay it? Does China have people at the ports that are sitting there waiting? They're like, don't worry, we're paying the tariffs. Did they write a check for the tariffs? Just logistically, how does this work? How is China paying this tariff if it's not in China? It's in the United States. And the person responsible for paying the tariff is the person who's picking it up. How does China pay that tariff? This is when we know we're in a fucked situation. They're just lying. It's not confusion, and they're pitching this like Americans have a fundamental disagreement on what tariffs are. Yeah, but like that's also like say we have a fundamental disagreement on whether or not it hurts to get smashed in the face with a rock. Yeah, it fucking hurts. It hurts. It doesn't feel good to get hit in the face with a rock. We're not in reality anymore. We're at a place where you've got to start asking Kevin Hassett, what's your incentive here? Why are you lying about something so easily debunked as this, that the Chinese are paying the tariffs? How did that happen? How did we get to this point?
Consumers. And by the way, how do they produce the stuff? They produce the stuff with electricity that's fired with.
T-Pain said they pay the tariff just to ship it to our shores. No, they don't. How do we collect it? If they're paying a tariff to ship it to our shores, how do we collect that money? How do we ensure that the Chinese government pays the tariff? How do we do that? What's our enforcement mechanism there? How do we make sure they pay the tariff? We can't. It's not how tariffs work. Solely to all the mods and RTP, keep fighting these fascists. Love you all. Thank you. Yeah, shout out mods today.
With coal. So in some sense, it's like a carbon tax as well. And so everybody who talks about the tariff hitting consumers just hasn't done basic Econ 101.
Yeah, well, you haven't done. What is he saying? He's just taking they don't know Econ 101. What are you talking about? We know who pays the tariffs. Everybody that has taken Econ 101 knows who pays the tariffs.
To the Americans, because we've been seeing interviews, at least just flipping channels on TV, where there are businesses around America saying we have to raise our prices because things are coming to us. They're passing on those prices to consumers. So were they mistaken? What are we missing there?
Well,
why are Americans paying more?
Oh, well, President Biden just wasted, last year $2 trillion on excess deficit spending, and we haven't passed the reconciliation bill that cuts spending yet. And so, of course, the memory of the
Prices went up because we spent. Okay, got it.
Biden policies, which are still in place, is going to be visible in the inflation data until we get the policy change.
To be clear, when they say it's because of the new tariffs, that's why they're raising the prices. That I just get confused because they keep telling us what are we missing?
Well, I don't know who you're talking to, but the point is that do you dispute that having runaway deficit spending impacts inflation, and that those inflation impacts are large? I don't think you would dispute that.
Wait, but you just said that China.
No, but I would dispute everything else that you just said about tariffs. Slimy. It's absolute slime ball here. Again, he's what is the director of the National Economic Council. He knows. There's a lot of people that don't know. He knows.
China would pay these tariffs, but it's American businesses importing goods that remit the money to the government, right?
No, it's Chinese production that bears the tax. It's simple. Yes, they do. It's simple tax incidence. In the end, let's go through a simple example. I used to mow lawns, and I'd get money, and I'd go buy candy bars at the grocery store. And let's say it was a quarter, but let's use $1. Sure. So if I put $1 down to buy a candy bar, and then all of a sudden Massachusetts says 10-cent tax, then if I go and buy my candy bar, if it costs $1.10, then I paid the 10 cents. If the candy bar is $1, then the store gets 90 cents and they paid the 10 cents tax. And so tax incidences, like what happens to the price when Kevin buys the candy bar?
Wait, hold on. All right. First of all, the math's wrong. But second of all, the tax is on top of this is a tax, not a tariff, right? So the tariff comes from the importer, not the end customer. Nobody is saying that the end customer directly pays the tariff. They're saying that the end customer pays more because the importer had to pay a tariff and they have to make up their costs. Now he's just now we're just doing like silly examples to try and confuse people. But yeah, nobody is saying that the consumer pays the tariff. Nobody's saying that. They say that prices go up because of tariffs.
Is it less than $1 or is it more than $1? And what I'm saying is that the store paying 90 cents and paying 10 cents tax, that circumstance is something that economists well understand, and it matches exactly the characteristics of the Chinese economy. So the Chinese are going to pay that tax. For sure.
No, incorrect. They're not going to pay that tax. It knows. Now, can it affect them? Could it mean that they sell less of their goods? Sure. But are they going to pay the tax? Absolutely not. That's not how any of this shit works. But it's fine, guys. We got Stephen Moore. He's the Unleash Prosperity co-founder. He's got the answers. Don't worry, we're 0 for 4, but the fifth guy's gonna do it. And again, this is Unleash Prosperity co-founder Stephen Moore. This guy is unleashing prosperity. Do you understand that? Do we understand that prosperity was leashed and now it's unleashed, and it's unleashed because of this guy, and he understands tariffs.
I saw the president, Katie, saying that it would be short-term pain for long-term gain. My concern is we can't afford short-term pain right now. The economy looks like it might be headed to a recession. We need the opposite. We need some steroids for the economy. That's the tax cut. Look, I go back and forth on Trump's tariffs. I like the idea of...
I would argue steroids, or that tax cuts are a little bit like steroids. In that they give you a momentary strength, but then the recession afterwards, the regression after you come off the steroids, your drop in the ability to create free testosterone, all of that suffers after. So yeah, it's very much like a steroid in that it's like temporary cheating to get temporary results, but none of those results are long-term.
The reciprocal, that if we can force other countries to reduce their tariffs, that would be a good thing. We all know that free trade is one of the pillars of prosperity. Look, the steel and aluminum tariffs didn't work. It is true that we have the steel aluminum tariffs under Trump. We created about 3,000 to 5,000 steel and aluminum jobs. The problem, Katie, was that we lost about 25,000 jobs in other manufacturing in the United States that use steel and had to use more expensive steel. So I don't like the protectionist tariffs. I don't think they work very well. One other quick thing. I love Trump's idea. If you make something in America, Katie, you're only going to pay a 15% tax. That's the way to
All right. So now we've got one guy who also says that tariffs are not going to work. So we got 4 people who don't know what a tariff is and one guy who says tariffs aren't going to work. These are all of Trump's people. That's pretty good. Is somebody at some point going to give us something? Let's give Scott Bessent like one more shot. We're going to give Scott Bessent one more shot here on with Kernan on CNBC. One more chance, Scott Bessent.
I think you've made the point that unlike the printing of too much fiat currency, which might be an underlying cause of inflation, the tariffs don't cause long-term inflation. They could cause some price increases, but not long-term. But then at the same time, you said...
I'm not an economist. If tariffs stay in place and it causes the price to go up, yes, that is long-term inflation. Like if they stay on, it certainly can be long-term inflation. I'm not understanding. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what he's saying there, but that didn't ring true to me.
Said that Americans don't necessarily just want everything to be really cheap. They want our workers to be employed here. And that the prosperity here doesn't mean being able to buy cheap goods. It means being able to live the American dream through having a job and having a future, et cetera. So we're going to have higher input costs forever.
So what, higher input costs forever? No, it's the tariffs are a one-time price adjustment, and everything else the administration's doing is, we're not getting much credit. As of yesterday, energy prices were down 15%. Crude was down 15% since inauguration day.
Okay, the 2 points there. Number one, when he says that like it's a one-time adjustment for prices, that's assuming that the cost of acquisition or the cost of producing the goods stays the same. If you put a 20% tariff on let's say we're doing water bottles, right? I'm selling water bottles. There's a 25% tariff on this water bottle. And for him to say it's a one-time adjustment, that's not true. If this water bottle costs me $7 to produce and then there's a 25% tariff on it, then yeah, it's $7. But let's say I sell it for $14 plus 25%. But what if the cost of materials goes up or the cost of labor goes up? And now this water bottle costs me $10 to produce. And I raise the price to $20. Now I've got a $20 water bottle instead of a $15 water bottle on top of a 25% tariff. So the tariff can be one time, but if the cost of acquisition, the cost of goods, the cost of labor goes up, then it is not one time. The cost will go up again and again and again. And they're not doing anything to protect the cost of labor. In fact, by a lot of these products, by bringing them back to the United States, the cost of labor is going to go up, and that's going to facilitate more expensive pricing. This is just fundamentally not true. And then the second part he said about we're not getting credit on energy costs. Let me show you the price of gas. Like if you look at price of gas every year, price of gas by month. I should have had this prepared. Let's see if this is the right one. All right, here you go. Here's the price of gas like by month. You'll see if we go back to 2024, we had a low of $3.07, and we had a high of $3.61. If you look at every one of these years, look what happens in January and February. Prices are lower than they are in May, June, and July. Just like 2023, $3.33 to $3.55, $3.57, $3.31 to $4.44. This happens all the time with the exception of COVID. You have like the COVID year is the one exception. Why? People are driving less. The days are shorter. You don't have family vacations. People are using less gas in January and February. So when he says we're not getting enough credit, yeah, because you don't deserve any fucking credit, because this happens every year. Every year the price of gas goes down. That's why every time somebody's running for president, they're like, And they'll do. Biden did it. He's like, look, gas prices were here in the summer, and now we've got them to here in November because people are using less gas. So that's why you don't get any credit, Scott Bessent. By the way, for somebody who seems to understand the economy, he's asking for credit for something that happens every single year, like he did something different.
Inauguration day, 10-year rates are down, mortgages are down. The spreads between the 10-year rate and mortgages have come in. So we saw we saw mortgage applications pop up last week. I think if we can keep on that trajectory, and Joe, the American dream is to be able to buy a house. We can't import houses.
But this could all be a reflection.
Yeah, why do mortgage rates go down? Why do they bring the rate down? To incentivize buying, right? Because people can't buy at the higher rate. And they go up to disincentivize, right? If the rate doesn't make any sense, if it's driving up the price of housing, which this administration really pressured the last Federal Reserve to keep rates at a low rate, even though house prices were exploding. Like, we should have raised the rate about a year before we did. Again, Scott Bessent knows all of this, and that's why he's struggling to form a coherent point here. Is everything he's talking about is just normal. One, normal when it comes to gas prices, and two, when it comes to the rates. That's not a good sign. That's not a sign that things are going better. That's a sign that, like, okay, now we've got to bring it down. Like, people can't afford houses at these rates, so we've got to bring the rates down for mortgages so that we can incentivize more people to buy houses. That's what they're saying here. So good try, but with the Trump team out there running interference. Let me check some messages here. Cam says, just paying my big dumb bitch tax. It's important. You got to get your big dumb bitch tax in. Let me check these other ones real quick, Jen, and then you got it. I actually have to pee, so this is good timing. Okay, I read that one. All right, do your thing. I'm going to the bathroom real quick.
All right, so big dub to the mods. You guys are doing some major overtime, so up to you. Like we mentioned before, the top left-hand corner is our gift goal. We need to hit that each day. This is our job, Monday to Friday. We do this. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all of that go towards knocking out the gift goal. We wrap up each day around 1 o'clock Pacific time. So we've got about an hour and 10 minutes to knock out the remaining balance. So if you guys help us out with that, we would really appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed to us on Twitch and YouTube, please do so. You can use your Amazon Prime sub on Twitch and use Bezos' money, and we also have 4 different membership options on YouTube. If you guys like an access to our Discord, you can DM me directly. Jen, Genn, Dub, DUBB, the number 1, and I can send you an invite, or any of the mods have access to the invites and they can get you one as well. We also have the link tree in our bio so you can check out other platforms that we are on. Facebook, Instagram, X. Jay's really partial to Twitter. X, he wants to stay there for whatever reason, but
we love Twitter.
You love Twitter. I don't love Twitter. But so this one's a little longer joke.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
A boy who's in his senior year, 12th grade, asks his crush to go to prom, and she says yes. He was so happy that he was determined to give her a great night for going with him. First, he goes to rent a limo, but the place is super busy, and he waited like 40 minutes in line. But he finally gets a limo booked. Next, he goes to buy her a nice corsage, and after waiting in line again for close to an hour, finally gets corsage. Then his suit, he had to wait like a half hour for the tailor. Later, he goes to pick her up and brings her to the prom where they have a nice buffet dinner. And they have to wait in line again for food. But when they finally sit at the table to eat, they realize they forgot drinks. So being the gentleman, he goes to get punch. And this time, there's no punchline.
Oh my God. I hated that. All right. I want to get to this. I want to get to Sam Seder. Sam Seder, who is one of my favorite political commentators in the world. I actually think he's the best political commentator around. He's my style. Maybe you guys don't like him, but he did a Jubilee. And if you're not familiar with Jubilee, it's where it's like 20v1. You go and the person in the middle, in this case Sam Seder, picks topics, and he allows the people to come debate him. They're all holding a red flag. At some point, basically each topic is 20 minutes, and at some point, if the audience, these are all MAGA in the circle, if they decide that they're done hearing from that person, they all raise the red flag, and then that person is removed, and they go to the next person. So here's Sam Seder on Jubilee debating Trump supporters, and it goes exactly how you would expect it to go. It's a bunch of people with really bad information who are absolutely convinced, despite the facts being against them, that they're right about things. This first guy is just this is my favorite one. I love when Christian nationalists pretend that they aren't Christian nationalists, and then you boil it down and you're like, oh, you're just a whole ass bigot. Like, you've got your talking points set down. And one thing about bigots and Christian nationalists is that they love to talk about political ideologies. They love to try and nail you down. Like, what is your belief system? And if they can nail you down to a belief system, then they've practiced this enough. They feel like they can prove that their belief system is better. I reject all belief systems, if we're being frank, and I think Sam Seder kind of alludes to that himself, that those things are this type of discussion is good for the Phil bros. These type of philosophical discussions are good, but they've completely bastardized it. They've taken philosophy and they use it as a way now to be like, oh, well, my philosophy is this, your philosophy is that. We just agree to disagree. Therefore, I can be a bigot. That's not really the reason, or I guess a legitimate good reason to talk philosophy. It's to sift out like good ideas versus bad ideas. But it's been highly weaponized by the Phil Bro Christian right, and here's a great example of that. Like, the idea behind this right now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to figure out Sam's like ideology. He's trying to figure out like where Sam grounds his morality in, and this is what the Phil Bros love to do. They love to try and ground your view on certain issues on an ideology. And again, they do that because they don't have good arguments for why they believe what they believe. You'll see it here. He doesn't want to tell you what he believes. He just wants to show that, like, Christian beliefs are just as good or objectively, in his view, better for creating a culture that is cohesive, successful, however he wants to view it. That's his whole goal here. His whole goal here is to show that morality comes from God, and if you don't believe morality comes from God, you must believe morality comes from somewhere else, and he has a better understanding of where morality comes from. The reality is morality is just largely subjective. It doesn't really come from anything, and it can change. People's morality changes all the time. The Christian morality largely has changed, and I think Sam will illustrate.
Birth rates.
What's the leftist view? This is where I wish Sam would have said, what's the leftist view? If you're taking the leftist view to its endpoint, you would have low birth rates. It says who? It says who? There's not evidence that is conclusive that says allowing something like gay marriage or giving trans people rights lowers birth rate. They're just saying like birth rate is lower now, and we're going to blame that on the existence of gay marriage or the acceptance by at least parts of society of trans people existing as real people. Like there is a flaw in this logic. He's saying fundamentally this is what happens when you follow a leftist viewpoint. One, there is no leftist view. There isn't. Like, there's no ideology, there's no underlying principles of leftism. And what they want you to do is they want to, and this is why I hate these fucking Phil Bro conversations, is what they want you to do is they have decided that their life exists, that their viewpoint exists based on this like hypothetical thing that they can't prove is true. And so if they bring you to the same starting point that they're at, where there's this hypothetical like authority on what is moral and what isn't moral, then they can say, oh, our morality is better, or our morality has a history in this country, and since it was our morality, the Christian morality that formed this country, we should continue to go with it. And I think that that's fucking stupid. And that's why I hate all Phil Bro conversations. And anytime somebody wants to Phil Bro with you, just tell them it's fucking stupid. Because here's the reality. We're all just made up of shit. We're all made up of molecules. We were all formed in a similar way when your mom and your dad decided to have sex, and then some semen came out, and it mixed with an egg, and then it was gestated for 9 months, and then you came out. Right? God wasn't involved in all of that, and people have been evolving. Human beings have been evolving. We look very different now than we did hundreds of thousands of years ago. Even just the place where we live is why we have different skin color. Like the place where our ancestors lived is why we all look different. Right? God wasn't involved in all of that. So the reason these conversations are stupid is because they're forcing you to start with a premise of there's this magical being that creates morality, and if you don't have a magical being that creates morality, then your morality is silly. And I'd argue the opposite. The very fact that you are looking for morality to get your morals from something that you can't prove exists is silly. No, it's not a duty. It's just a law. Yeah, it's not a duty to not do to not do that, right? But again, like, this is what they do. This is like the moral justification. Your God, whatever God you worship, and I'm trying to be careful with my Christian friends here because I don't believe that the Christian friends that I have worship this same God. But the God that he believes in and that sets his morals says there's no difference between being gay and being a child sex predator. That's a shitty God. That is a dog shit God. If those are your morals, and again, this is the problem with these debates, is when you set a baseline of like, well, morals have to come from somewhere, and mine is from God. The moral baseline he just set is there is no difference between being gay and being a child sex abuser. No difference. That's the problem. Your morals suck, dude. Your God sucks, man. I don't like your God. He's kind of a bitch. Your view, it is okay. This is the ironic thing, is that in his view, it is okay. I know this because I've read the Bible, and I know that Lot impregnated his daughters. And it was okay. And you know that in the history of this world, there was a lot of incest in this world. Royal families full of incest. Smaller villages, like how do you have a small village of, let's say, a dozen people and it turns out to be 500 people? How did that happen? How did it happen? Incest. It was all incest. And why did we stop? Allowing incest? Because we had thousands of people. There were other options. And there are things like there are birth defects that come along with incest. And so as a group of people, we decided incest was bad. But you know who didn't decide incest was bad? His God. His God allowed it for a really, really long time. Like a really long time. And in fact, he even wrote it, like they put it in the book. Like let's make sure that incest is in the book too. Society chose that. Society makes decisions. And for all these Phil bros that want to like get down in the weeds on this, the reality is that our laws are dictated by the population. And we've had some horrific laws. And they always want to take it back to morality so that they don't have to talk about the fact that it was their people that were running the slave trade. It was their people who were owning slaves. It was their people who justified fighting back against the civil rights movements. That's why they want to do this. But their moral justification, their moral baseline is fucked. Their moral baseline includes killing kids. It includes killing kids in the womb. It includes sending the spouse of your friend, sending your friend off to war so that you can have sex with their spouse. Like, your moral baseline is absolutely fucked if you're taking the Bible literally. What does religion provide? Guilt? This is why I hate religion. This guy is arguing that guilt is good, shame is good, bigotry is good, hatred is good. And if he didn't have his religion, he might just be out here doing what he wants. Maybe he wants to fuck a guy or two. Maybe that's what he does. It just feels good. That's the only justification. You should really only have sex if you're going to make a baby. That's what you should do. Religion fucks people up bad, especially when it's high demand religion like that. That reminds me of every person I grew up with. This was the end of that clip. They cut whoever cut that clip cut this part off. So let me finish this clip here before old boy gets. Disagree. Disagree. When we see Christians living it out to the full extent, a lot of times what we see is genocide. Actually. That's what we see. And then yeah, sometimes they thrive after the genocide, after they've killed everybody. Then you sometimes see the Christians thrive. But yeah, when you've seen Christianity play out the way that he wants Christianity to play out, Salem witch trials happen. That's not good. I don't want that. You big dumb bitch. I like his jacket though. I do like his jacket. It's a sharp jacket. All right. Next up was this is actually, let me show this one first. I didn't get this guy's name, but it made me laugh. This was the dumbest guy there, by the way. Confident. This is MAGA to a T. Like just confidently wrong. And Sam dismantles him. I forgot to get his name, but you'll like this.
On DEI hides his real goal, which is to give corporations more power.
Yeah. Did somebody said that government agencies do pay taxes? Is that somebody in the chat? I don't know if you're joking or not, Dave. I don't know, but they don't. I think this is Sarah Stock again. Let's see. Trying to remember which one this is. Oh no, this is the other. I don't know who this guy is. All I know about this guy is one, he struggled through this, but two, Sam got a haircut. A lot of people got nice haircuts for this. Old boy here did not get a new haircut for this, and his intelligence matches his haircut. You can't cut money you already sent, right? Like that doesn't. That money's gone. I mean, it's mostly military equipment, but it's gone. You can't. This isn't. I don't know if he thinks like Elon is so brilliant that he created like a time machine so they could go back in time and pull that funding. But like that funding's there. That one just made me laugh because that guy was up there for 1 minute before the rest of his buddies were like, "Fuck, dude, we got to get you out of here." And then here we go with didn't get this. Is this same guy who just is way too confident. Great outfit together, though. Let's give a round of applause for old boy's outfit here. The hair's nice. The spectacles are nice. It looks like a nice shawl there. He put together a good outfit, and I think we need to call out a good outfit when we see it. His style is on point. His brain is mush, though.
Dictating people.
That number that he cited, there is no. I can't find a reference where it says that 50% of people who were put on puberty blockers regretted it. I can't find that anywhere. I looked. I can't even find like somewhere fact checking it. It feels like he made that number up because I couldn't even find a fact check on it. So again, like this reminds me of Robert Duran. Where he just says shit confidently, and the conservatives are like, oh, that sounds right. I believe that. If you say things confidently as a conservative, people just believe you. And that's kind of what he's doing here. But I could not find that number anywhere. I looked for probably way too long. So long that I didn't get enough clips from Jubilee. I looked for a long time. I used Perplexity. I used ChatGPT. I couldn't find that number. If you guys have it, please send it to me, but I can't find that number. As a reminder, real quick, we have 20 or 37 minutes left. We do still have a decent amount remaining on that gift goal. If you can help, great. If not, just make sure you like the live, share it with a friend. That helps us a great deal. He has no idea. I have an answer for that. I have a prepared statement on affirmative action. This isn't affirmative action. Fuck. I was so close there. I was so close. Rory, thank you for the super chats. It's just helping. Appreciate it. Welcome to our new subscribers too. Tina said, "Happy Monday." Thank you, Tina. I hope you guys are having a happy Monday. I missed you guys this weekend. It was weird it's weird on a weekend like this where I didn't catch much stuff, and then you try and play catch up last night. There was a lot of shit that happened over this weekend. So we're gonna be playing catch up. Most of this stuff you guys might have already seen, but we'll be playing catch up for the rest of the week. Let me update the gift goal here. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to go to. Let's go back to Doge. I don't remember who sent this to me. I can't remember. Jacqueline Sweet tweeted, I helped Brian Krebs trace the background of one of Elon Musk's top loyalists, Brandon Spikes, head of IT at X, who spent 2 months at Doge. Spikes and his ex-wife were involved in Russian diaspora, or as I said once before, diaspora websites and groups linked to pro-Kremlin KSORS players, Russian state media while he was at SpaceX. So the accusation here is that this person, Brandon Spikes, who was the head of IT at X and was working at Doge, is a Russian plant, a Russian asset, and had access to everything Doge had access to. This is from Krebs on Security, who was mentioned there. This is his website, krebsonsecurity.com. Said at 49, Brandon Spikes isn't just one of the oldest technologists who has been involved in Elon Musk's Doge. As the current director of information technology at X and an early hire at PayPal, Zip, Tesla, SpaceX, Spikes is also among Musk's most loyal employees. Difficult to find another person connected to Doge who has stronger ties to Musk than Brandon Spikes. A native of California, Spikes initially teamed up with Musk in 1997 as a lead systems engineer for the software company Zip2, the first major venture for Musk. In 1999, Spikes was hired as the director of IT at PayPal. In 2002, he became the fourth person hired at SpaceX. In 2012, Spikes launched Spike Security, a software product that sought to create a compartmentalized or sandbox web browser that could insulate the user from malware attacks. They also used to play Quake together online. I don't know why that was important to add here, but they were both apparently really serious about playing Quake. I don't even know what Quake is. I've heard Elon brag about it before. So sorry if we have gamers here. Prior to founding Spikes Security, Spikes was married to a native Russian woman named Natalia, whom he'd met at a destination wedding in South America. Brandon and Natalia's names are both on the registration records for the domain name orangetearoom.com. Now that's important because this domain was originally registered by Brandon. It's the home of a tax-exempt charity in Los Angeles called the California Russian Association. Don't worry, it's not Russia. It's not Russia. In 2011, Spikes and Natalia got divorced. Natalia changed her last name to Haldeman, though that is not her maiden name, which appears to be Labina. Rather, Natalia acquired the surname Haldeman in 1998 when she married Elon Musk's cousin. Reeve Haldeman is the son of Scott Haldeman, who's the brother of Elon Musk's mother, Mae Musk. Divorce records show that Reeve and Natalia officially terminated the marriage in 2007. But here's the list of domain names. Now, remember, they registered orangetearoom.com, which was for the California Russian Association. Here's a list of their other domain names: RussianAmericans.org, RussianAmericansToday.com, RussianAmericansToday.org, Russian California, Russian Heritage Foundation, RussianHeritageFoundation.org, RussianWhiteKnights.com, RussianWhiteKnights.org, the Fora Foundation, the Golden Tea Room, the Russian Heritage Foundation, TSA Sarina Home, I guess. These are all the Russian websites that they had registered for their Russian Heritage Foundation. Now, writing for the Insider in 2022, Diana Fishman described how the CRA has engaged in outright political lobbying, noting that the organization in June of 2014 sent a letter to Obama and the Secretary of the UN calling for, here's where it gets interesting, an end to the large-scale U.S. intervention in Ukraine and the campaign to isolate Russia. 2014, does anybody remember what Russia did in Ukraine in 2014? They invaded, and they sent a letter asking Obama to call for an end to the U.S. intervention in Ukraine and the campaign to isolate Russia. And by isolate Russia, of course, they just mean saying you can't invade Ukraine. The U.S. military contingents must be withdrawn immediately from the Eastern European region, and NATO's enlargement efforts and provocative actions against Russia must cease. Look, Elon's an asset, too. I don't know why we're still pretending Elon Musk isn't a Russian asset. He absolutely is, which is why he and all the Republicans sound exactly like Russia all the fucking time. The Insider said the CRA director sent another 2 letters, this time to Trump in 2017 and 2018. In those letters, it said one was a request not to sign a law expanding sanctions against Russia. The other regretted the expulsion of 60 Russian diplomats from the United States and urged not to jump to conclusion on Moscow's involvement in the poisoning of Sergei Skripal. Sergei Skripal was a A politician. I thought I was going to remember this. Let me remember who Sergei Skripal was. Intelligence officer. That's right. Who acted as a double agent for the UK, and then he was put in jail in Russia, and he was poisoned to death. Shit! I just closed that link, didn't I? Sorry. Let me pull that back up. What's it? There we go. This from Spikes on his ex-wife's history with Russia. He said, I attended several of Natalia's social events over the years we were together and can assure you that she's got the best intentions with those. There's no funny business going on. It is just a way for those friendly immigrants to find resources amongst each other to help get settled in and chase the American dream. I mean, they're not unlike the immigrants from other countries who come to America and try to find each other and help each other find others who speak the language and share in the building of their businesses here in America. It's just a little bit of Russians helping Russia. And then, by the way, they raise millions of dollars and then they lobby the U.S. government so that the U.S. government doesn't take retaliatory actions against Russia. But it's definitely just about them assimilating to the American dream here. That's definitely what it's about. Steven, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that, my friend. Let me check here. All right. Next up, here is Representative Brian Fitzpatrick. He is a Republican from Pennsylvania and also a former member of the FBI, and asked on Face the Nation if he has concerns about the cuts at the FBI specifically.
You are the only FBI agent who now turned congressman. On Monday, the top agent at the New York office, James Dennehy, said he was forced out of his job due to clashes with Justice Department officials over directives. He had been supportive of Bureau leaders who resisted turning over the names of those agents assigned to carry out investigations related to January the 6th, 2021. Are you concerned about all this political pressure?
I'm very concerned. I'm a huge defender and supporter of the Bureau. It was the best job I ever had in my life, the most honorable job I've ever had in my life, keeping America safe. And I care very much about the agent population and the professional support staff that work there. They are tremendous people. They are completely nonpartisan. In 14 years in the FBI, I never heard any political talk whatsoever, which is pretty remarkable. So
that directly contradicts what the Homeland Security Secretary said at the top of this program when she went at the FBI.
The thing to remember about Kristi Noem is that she's really fucking stupid. I think that's important to throw out there.
There have been problems at the top. I want to differentiate. So there have been problems on the 7th floor of the J. Edgar Hoover building that they did politicize things like people like Jim Comey, for example, who tweet out, to vote single party during an election. You can't do that as an FBI director. That's terrible. He did it as a former director, but it undermined.
As a former director, James Comey as a former director, not employed by the FBI, as a private citizen, tweeted that out after he was pushed out of his job for refusing to sign a loyalty pledge to Donald Trump. Like, this is how subservient the Republicans are, and he knows this, and that's why he just corrected it. Like, oh, I do realize he was a former director. That's not a fucking problem. That's not a sign of the FBI being corrupt. That's the sign of somebody being fired and warning about the person who fired them. But that's not a problem at the top of the FBI. We never heard about the politicization of the FBI until Trump came around. And then Trump has politicized the FBI night and day to the point where he has now a complete and total loyalist at his side running the FBI. It's always like scare people about something and then do exactly what you just told them was so scary. That's the move every single time.
It's everything he did leading up to that point. The FBI needs to be completely nonpartisan, completely apolitical. Personally, I think that part of the polygraph testing that comes in, so when you're an agent coming through the process, you get tested on drug history, foreign contacts, financial vulnerabilities. They also ought to test political bias as well, just to give the public the assurance that people are coming into the Bureau checking their politics at the door.
This all comes down to a busting of norms. And things that we've been used to for years are all trying to be disrupted
and I think in some ways very dangerously. We can't see this politicization of the FBI. It's a dangerous thing for our country.
Are you to talk to the FBI director about
Absolutely,
any of this?
absolutely.
About the firings of the political pressure?
Director Patel worked on our committee. He was a staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, which I sit, and I look forward to having a conversation with him.
Thank you. Vanessa, thank you very much. I didn't see a message there from you, but thank you, Vanessa, for the, I think that was a Venmo. All right, next. God, we're running out of time so fast. Yeah, let's talk more about the FBI, the weaponization, the politicization of the FBI. Here is not Aaron Parnas, but instead Midas Touch, about a prosecutor who was fired from the FBI.
We've got some news. Trump just punished the federal prosecutor who put Jeffrey Epstein's partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, in prison, and that's not all. Trump's Justice Department just put 3 federal prosecutors on leave. 2 of the prosecutors, Andrew Rohrbach and Celia Cohen, worked on the prosecution of New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Rohrbach also worked on the successful prosecutions of Ghislaine Maxwell, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Michael Avenatti. So that's right, MAGA. You were duped on the Epstein files, and Trump is now punishing the prosecutor who prosecuted Epstein's associate. Are you getting it yet? Follow the Midas Touch podcast on Apple and Spotify for more.
Where are those Epstein files? When the fake release happened, they told us they'd be out the next day. Do you guys remember? I went and I debated on TikTok. They told me that they were going to be here the next day. Why don't we have the Epstein files? I think it was supposed to be was it like the 28th? 27th or 28th? Where are they? Did we get them? Did I just miss it? Did I miss the full release of the Epstein files? Has anybody seen them? Why would they say that they were coming out the next day if they weren't? Why would Trump wouldn't lie like that? His people wouldn't lie. Pam Bondi wouldn't lie like that. I wonder what I do legitimately wonder with Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, because they do seem to be like true believers. I do wonder what they're thinking right now when they're like, we're going to release the Epstein files, and now they're not releasing the Epstein files. I do wonder what they think. Like either they're true believers and they're just ignoring it now, or they never were in the first place. But it is odd to me to see this many people close to Trump with access to this information who have gone on and on and on about the Epstein files for the last 4 years and tried to smear any Democrat. Oh, you don't want the release of the Epstein files. And then here we are. And you guys keep promising that they're going to be released and nothing. Where are they? Because Israel wants it suppressed because Epstein was Mossad. Yeah, I've heard that. There's a lot of... I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. I definitely think that Israel could be involved. I wouldn't put it past them. But I think that it has a lot more to do. No, maybe not a lot more. I mean, that might be the primary reason. But I also think that there's a lot of people on that list, specifically Donald Trump. We all know Trump's on that list. Everybody knows Trump's on that list. He's going to be on the flight logs and the call logs. And if there's any sort of itinerary, you're going to see a lot of parties that Epstein attended with Trump. So if they do have a record of all the stuff Epstein was doing, Trump's going to be all over that. So yeah, maybe the IDF doesn't want it out there, but I don't think Trump wants it out there either. He's said as much. He's like, everything, some of those things that are on there are going to be lies. But yeah, I do think that there's solid evidence that Israel is, at the very least, is aware and had connections, pretty deep connections with Epstein. What we're not going to do, though, is do the anti-Semitic shit that the people in the chat now want to do, where you're going to say because it's Israel, it's the Jews. We're not going to play that game. Here is just a couple of highlights from last week's hearing on Doge. This is Maxwell Frost, and he's talking to former Comptroller General Gene Dodaro, and he used to head the Government Accountability Office, which was like the precursor to Doge. A lot of people don't realize that Doge existed. It was just called something else, and this was the former Comptroller for the GAO.
Of dollars every year, and I thank you for that work and thank your staff for that work. The GAO couldn't be more different than Trump and Elon Musk's Doge. Trump and Musk want to...
Kilroy, you're an idiot. If You just give me a source. Give me a source for the Republicans in here. Give me one verified source that says that Trump was the reason that Epstein was caught. Just give me one verified source. You can send it to my DMs.
Rip away the vital services that millions of Americans depend on. He's doing it just to find money to give tax cuts to the richest people in this country and largest corporations in this country, many of whom pay a less effective tax rate than a lot of the teachers in my district. Doge will save nothing for the American people while making everything worse for us, while trying to find room to give tax cuts to the richest people in this country. Shamefully, those cuts include cuts to our military veterans, including the nearly 32,000 veterans that I proudly represent. And I take this subject personally because I'm the son of a veteran. I come from an Air Force family. How my family's been in the Air Force so long, they were in it when it was the Army Air Corps. And so I take this very...
Sorry. I guess we have to do this. We got a bunch of dumbass MAGA here. MAGA, listen, I appreciate your cult loyalty. Let me just show you. I'll show you Trump on the Epstein list. I'll show you on the flight logs. Want to see the flight logs here? You tell me whose names these are. What's this right here? Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Maybe I can expand it. I guess you can't really expand it. Right here. JG, this is number 516. JG, Donald Trump, Marla, Tiffany. Donald Trump is there. All right, we'll go to the next one. So there's 2 there. These ones are harder to see. Donald Trump right here, with just a bunch of initials there. But there's Donald Trump there. Where's Trump on this one? There's Donald Trump right there. And these are the flight logs. We've had these for a while. This one's hard to read. There's Trump right there on the flight logs. What if we look at the call logs? Trump Epstein call logs. I don't know. I don't know how this is the first time you guys are seeing this. It's wild that you haven't seen this. Here's those are the flight logs. Yeah, those are flight logs. There's Trump with the flight logs. Let's see. That's a flight log. Here's this is part of his black book. Like, these are all the numbers he has for Trump. Got Melania there. He's got the house number. Look at all these phone numbers he's got. He's got the house man. He's got Mar-a-Lago. He's got Trump security. I don't know who Norma is. He got Melania spelled incorrectly, which is interesting. Here's the call logs. These are the messages that were left for Epstein from Donald Trump. Call me back, please. He said there's Donald Trump calling Epstein. There's Donald Trump calling Epstein. Yeah, it's all over those. I don't know why we're still pretending. And again, for the MAGA that's here, I would love to see an example of Trump. When you guys say that Trump threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, as far as I can tell, that's just a story that somebody told. There's no evidence that that's true. In fact, the evidence at the time, the reporting at the time, is that they had a dispute about a real estate deal, and Epstein says the same thing. Epstein says that's what broke their friendship, was a real estate deal. You think Donald Trump gives a fuck about people abusing women? It's like his favorite thing to do. Sorry, back to this.
Mr. Dodaro, VA healthcare is on the GAO's high-risk list. How have staffing challenges at the VA contributed to this?
And ask Ms. Farb to come up, but they've contributed to it very significantly. Jess?
I would say, we talked about this a little bit earlier in terms of scheduling appointments for veterans, both in
getting back to this is the comptroller from DOA from earlier.
That VA facilities and in the community, providing treatments that are needed and timely care, which VA has had problems with in the past, as we all know. So not having the staff that they need to kind of continue on the path to making sure that veterans get timely access to quality.
So a staff capacity issue, not enough.
Yes, well, not a right type. I mean, I'm very concerned about the mental health area, and they don't have enough behavioral mental health people, particularly for rural veterans.
100%.
But that's it. Like, why are we worried about, mental health care for veterans? Why would we worry about that? They're fine, right? Nothing bad ever happens to veterans. There's not any PTSD among veterans, nothing like that. Let's cut the benefits for those veterans. Who cares, right? But again, let's celebrate the tax cuts for the rich. Let's do that. Let's cut taxes for the rich, and let's pull funding for veterans. Shout out MAGA. You guys are I like you guys. You don't give a fuck. You're just like, hey, fuck those veterans. Elon needs a little more cash.
And the suicide prevention areas is another area. The last I checked, there were 17 veterans a day die by suicide. It's a national disgrace, in my opinion, that we're not better supporting these people, which is why I added it to the high-risk list. And so they need doctors, nurses, they need the proper care. And also the proper handoff if they go to the community care process as well. So it's an issue that we need to be very careful on how we handle and make sure it's done properly.
There we go. All right. So we're slashing VA benefits for MAGA. I do appreciate MAGA. You're still in the chat, still defending Trump. Guess what? I have a story to tell you. You know Epstein Island? You know how they always talk about Epstein Island and how, like, that's where all the shit happened? Did you know that almost every case brought against Jeffrey Epstein happened in the neighborhoods where Donald Trump lived? New York and Palm Beach, Florida. There was also some abuse in Santa Fe, New Mexico. But most of the abuse occurred either in New York or West Palm Beach. See, the problem is the reason that all the people that you listen to keep talking about Epstein Island is because Epstein Island is a place where we don't know a lot about. We do know, however, about charges, allegations against Trump with Epstein in Palm Beach. We do know that. We have sworn affidavits from somebody who says that they were abused by Trump and Epstein in West Palm Beach. That's why you guys always talk about the island, though. That's why the people you listen to always talk about the island, because then all these flight logs to and from New York don't ring any bells to you. It doesn't make sense. You're like, oh, well, he didn't go to the island, so we're off the hook. It's not the case. Almost every bit of abuse happened in Palm Beach and New York, and specifically Palm Beach. That was like their recruiting grounds. They loved that place. And during that time, when those stories were happening, you can watch the videos of Trump and Epstein partying together in Palm Beach. Proof for them cutting benefits. We just showed it there. All right. Yeah, we'll close out with Jasmine. Let me check comments one more time. We'll get out of here. Jumar said, sorry, let me give it. Jen sent that. These MAGA supporters are so good at deep throating. Betsy says, thank you for everything that you do. Appreciate that. And all right, we'll close it out with Jasmine, then we'll get out of here for the day. Here's Jasmine.
Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Dudero, I'm going to pick up where my colleague left off by number one, thanking you for your service.
All right, I guess we're doing this. All right, we're going to save Jasmine for tomorrow since we're going to do this. Why didn't any of the girls bring allegations against Trump? What's her name? Katie? It's Trump. It's Katie, right? What's the name? Does we have that name? Katie Johnson. Thank you. Katie Johnson did, and you should look that up. But just a reminder, there have been many allegations against Donald Trump. 16 women have accused Donald Trump of various forms of sexual assault, including one accusation of rape and another in which the accuser has not used that word, but whose description meets the legal definition. 4 other women have publicly said Mr. Trump walked in on them and other pageant contestants while they were undressing. By the way, this was Miss America and Miss Teen, or Miss America and Miss Teen USA. So those were, in some cases, underage girls. BuzzFeed reports another 3 women have confirmed the pageant stories but did not want their names used. Trump has adamantly denied all those sexual assault. Kristen Anderson in the early 90s accused Donald Trump of sexual assault. E. Jean Carroll, of course, you know that. Rachel Crooks was a receptionist. Jane Doe, a.k.a. Katie Johnson. This is the ones you're looking for. This is a lawsuit filed June 2016, refiled in October 2016, as reported by BuzzFeed, and then eventually dropped in 2016 due to threats for their safety. Jane Doe is an unnamed plaintiff who has gone by Katie Johnson in legal papers. She claims she was repeatedly raped by Trump and Epstein at Epstein's New York City apartment in 1994 when she was 13. A witness, also given a pseudonym Tiffany Doe, said she recruited Jane Doe and others. So not only does she have this accusation, the person who recruited her also says, that's true, I recruited them. Doe, using the name Johnson, gave an interview to the Daily Mail in which she said she did not know who Trump was at the time of the alleged attack, but identified him later when she saw him on television. So why did you said nobody made an accusation? And now I realize that now you're going to say all of these women are lying, but earlier you didn't even know an accusation exists. Yeah, see, there it is. There. Oh, what's the proof? You said there wasn't an accusation. That's the proof. How many other people do you know? Like, look at these names. How many other people? And by the way, almost all of these took place before Trump ran for office. 2006, 92 to 93, 97, 2006, 1980s, 2003, 2004, 2013, 2005, 1997, 1998, 2007. Pageants, these are all the women who accused Trump of walking in on them while they were changing. 97, Miss Vermont Teen USA pageant. Tasha Dixon, Miss Arizona from 2001. Victoria Hughes, 1997, Miss New Mexico teen, another teenager there. Bridget Sullivan from who was Miss New Hampshire in 2000. Anonymous sources from 97, Miss Teen USA pageant confirmed Bill Dow and Hughes' story. They didn't want their names mentioned. How about Lisa Boyne in summer of 96? His own wife in 1989. Yeah, like I get it. None of you guys want to believe anything. Show me somebody else who has this many accusations. Just show me. Who else has if it's this easy to come up with all these accusations, how come it's been used for the first time against Trump? You guys we didn't do it against Bush? How come we only did it against Trump? How come we didn't do it to Ron DeSantis? How come we didn't do this to any of your people? How come we only did it to Trump? He ran on Mitt Romney's platform. Why didn't we do it to Mitt Romney? How come it's only Trump? And if this works so well, how come none of the accusations you guys throw out stick? You say whatever you want. Like you won't be proud of your vote for Donald Trump in years to come. Once he's gone, there will be a slew of books. There will be tell-all after tell-all after tell-all. And maybe you guys will go. Maybe you'll also go to your grave defending Donald Trump. Maybe you won't. Jamie, thank you for knocking out that goal. I appreciate it. Moses, thank you as well for the super chat. I don't know what to tell you guys. I gotta say, time's up for today. We'll get to the other stuff tomorrow. But holy shit, did the mods do great today? Holy shit, did the mods do great? Great job, mods. We got hit by a Russian attack. Somebody said Twitter's under a Russian attack right now. Is that true? Remember, is that who said that? We just hacked it. Okay. Oh shit. Darkstorm, Team Darkstorm. They said a statement from the hacker group Darkstorm. We just hacked X, first ever to do it. How are you, Elon Musk? I hope you liked our visit. The whole of Twitter will soon find out about Darkstorm. This is about to go global. Be ready. I don't know what this is even showing me. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. Oh, Mike Flynn's already blaming the CIA. Interesting. Says Darkstorm. What does that say? Darkstorm's team history points to geopolitical motives and pro-Hamas. I don't know if that's what they usually say when somebody's like pro-Palestinian. They say pro-Hamas to make him seem worse. Apparently, it was announced on Telegram they are responsible for most. We got here. This is crazy. More than 40,000 reports flooded down detector during the second outage. The current outage peaked at 29,000 reports. Darkstorm claims to have target X with the cyber attack. Users are unable to access the site, with many receiving error messages. Huh. Well, I don't know why. Are they saying now? They're saying pro-Palestinian here. Over the past month, Darkstorm team has successfully attacked critical infrastructure, including LAX, Haifa port in Israel, and the UAE's Ministry of Defense. Musk believes hack was attempt to silence him. Oh. All right. Well, looks like we might have some news on that tomorrow. I don't know much about it. With the lies that I've listened to you tell, it's no wonder why Democrats lost in a landslide. Lemony Snickets, you silly little bitch. If you ever want to come up and debate something, you're welcome to do that. We allow debates here. If you want to ever get out of the comments, you can come up and debate. It's good to have you here. Everybody else, thank you guys. I know it was a little discombobulated today. Late start, followed by a very, I'm going to be honest, it was a loose structure today. I put this all together this morning. It was a rough weekend. So tomorrow back to normal, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube. We went live on Facebook today, actually. So we were over there live as well. Jen, do you have any last words? Might be muted.
No,
Oh,
no,
nothing from you?
no, yeah, I'm here. I'm just, no, nothing new. Like I said, mods kill it today. I added Asa Sophia too. She helps. She came in clutch, so appreciate everybody.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on all these platforms. We do have merch in the website if you're interested in some merchandise. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you're subscribed with notifications on so you see when we go live. We should have some evening lives this week. I'll give you more details on that tomorrow morning. Other than that, take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool. Have a great summer.